don't have Zach Wheeler? Are they still this number one contender or number two contender? Does the record do them justice? When you know that Zach Wheeler is done for the rest of the season, who do you guys believe this Phillies team actually is?
Broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studios, here are your hosts John Kincade and Andrew Salciunas.
97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
All right, well, it's another day. And unfortunately, it's more of the same. Good Thursday, I guess. Delaware Valley, the Phillies get swept by the Mets. They get their teeth kicked in for 3 straight nights. I'm Connor Thomas sitting in for Andrew Salciunas. To my left, Mike Gill sitting in for John Kincade today. Mike, I would say good morning, but it doesn't really feel like one here in the city of Philadelphia when it comes to this baseball team.
Can't put a good spin on this, man. Can't put a good spin on it. But, last week, I would imagine. All right, most people are half asleep like me. I'm not used to waking up at this time. But it's good to see you and talk to everybody out there at this time. But I will say, at this point last week, wasn't everybody buzzing? Wasn't everybody saying hello at Wawa?
Yeah. Wasn't
everybody coming in saying, "You see the Phils last night?" I mean, baseball is one of these things where one Thursday you feel great, and the next Thursday you feel like...
Yeah, but every Thursday is not a major series with the Mets coming to close, with you getting swept, you giving up the season series, which is what happened last night with that final loss in that series, which means not only are the Mets only 4 games back of you as we wake up this morning, but they also hold the tiebreaker. So essentially,
you know what else?
Call it 3 games back.
You know what else? The Dodgers passed you now, too.
Yeah.
So you are now sitting in the wild card spot, and if the playoffs were to start today, which I know they don't, you'd be playing the Mets.
Now,
good morning.
That is not exactly where I think people want to be mentally right now.
You feel good about that?
No, I don't feel good about anything with this baseball team right now. And for people who have heard me talk about the Phillies all year, it takes a lot to get me to this place where I'm kind of just resigned to the fate that I believe that I saw in the past 3 games. Now, could things change? Absolutely. Have they played other teams not named the New York Mets well? Sure, they have this year. But they can't beat this team. And something about the DNA of this team feels like it came into major question over these 3 games. Where is the fight? Where is the fire? Where is the point where you look at a team in your division that does not have as good of a record as you? In my opinion, not as good of a roster as you. And has not had as much playoff success over the past 3 years as you have. Sure, they knocked you out last year. What they do when they were a 100-win team, they lost in the wild card round, right? Like they are as much, if not more, playoff quote-unquote chokers than people call the Phillies, right? So what is it about this team where you can't just chest up, get out there, and beat them? In their building, that's what I need to see because I know the Phils took 2 of 3 down here at Citizens Bank Park. So maybe it's the Citi Field Demons.
And they'll play 4 coming up, and we'll really get to see what happens in that situation. However, there's so much wrapped into this game, especially last night, Connor, where the kid pitching for them, McLean, is just absolutely mowing you down. And I can't help but think, you're watching a game last night where I got to sit through another Taijuan Walker start. I get it. The guy's worked hard. He's had a turnaround season. It's a good story for that part of it. Whatever. This kid's coming up here in the middle of a pennant race. They said, look, we're struggling. What was struggling for the Mets 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago? They couldn't get anybody out.
Right.
They go to their guy, and they say, we need an influx of life. Meanwhile, we're rolling Taijuan Walker out there at Citi Field, House of Horrors, asking him, save us.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they got this kid infusion of life into that Met team, and that Met team starting pitching was down and out. This kid's now 3-0, an ERA under 1. And last night, he looked like he was absolutely Cy Young material against that lineup. Where's the Phillies' infusion of life? Where's the Phillies going, hey, we got to this point, but we need a little kick. We need a little something to get us to that next level. That's what bothers me about the game last night. Okay, you get swept. It's a house of horrors, all that stuff. But it's how the whole storyline is playing out here. That the Mets were the team that was down and out, and now they got a little kick of life, and that kick of life kicked you in the... Yeah.
I think the kick of life was more provided by the Philadelphia Phillies themselves than Nolan McLean coming up. He was very good last night in that matchup. But here's the thing. Like, he had made 2 starts prior to this, and that team was still consistently losing ball games. Their starting pitching had been a little bit better. But the only time where you've seen that team look like a true playoff team in the last month was against you.
Well, listen, they've won, I think, 8 out of 11 now. And this was a team that was the worst team in baseball for a stretch of games. Them and the Nationals were the 2 worst teams. And this is, I hate to be like, this is baseball. And, listen, I'm a pretty laid-back, calm guy when it comes to this. I get people, I'm looking at my social media. I'm not usually up at 4 o'clock in the morning like I was today, and I look at my social media mentions, and people are like, Rob Thompson this, how do you get a kick when you got the comatose, manager and all that stuff. Is it a coincidental situation, or is it the Mets? That, to me, is the big question here, because was Rob Thompson comatose and a problem when they just spanked the Mariners and everybody was loving it, or is it conveniently now? That's where, to me, I have to try to figure out the balance of a 162. Did the Mets just kind of coincide when they have – look, I said before, you can't expect the Mets to play like the worst team in baseball the next 2 months. At some point, with the talent they have, it was going to start flipping for them. They were really bad. Are they going into they're really good?
Yeah, but it didn't just flip. It flipped against you. And I know they've been playing better baseball, but there's no way to watch this series and think you didn't just breathe life into the Mets. And yet, like you say, this could be baseball, right? At least from the perspective
it's always the convenient answer.
Yes, but from the perspective of the players, that could be how we're looking at this. So I want you to hear something from Kyle Schwarber, who spoke last night after the series came to the end. After the Phillies were swept by the New York Mets in embarrassing fashion, after pretty much everybody in this fan base at some point in that series thought, I'm done. I think we all had those thoughts. Even the most devoted, confident Phillies fan thought, screw this team, I'm out. Here's what Kyle Schwarber had to say.
First off, I think that there's disappointment, right? Who likes to lose? No one likes to lose. But there's nothing that can really phase us. I think that, we've been swept before this year. We bounced back. So we got to do the same thing. And I'm not worried about it. I know everyone's going to have the right mindsets going into the next series, and we go from there.
Now, I don't know if that's true. Nothing really phases us? I don't know, man. And I love Kyle Schwarber as much as the next guy. And he speaks for that locker room. And I like the idea of trying to keep everything settled, because in that room, they don't get to react like we do as fans. And sometimes they have to avoid what the reality of the situation is, even if it's staring them in the face. But the whole idea that they don't get phased, when I see the Phillies go into Citi Field, they look like a totally different baseball team.
I agree with that. I feel like, and on Tuesday night, there was an at-bat from JT Realmuto, now who has been scorching hot, right? Mm-hmm. And he strikes out for the 3rd time in a row in a big situation. And you're thinking, and the look in his face as he's looking up is, okay, I can't figure it out. Yeah. I don't know why I was so hot and now I'm not. So is it this is where this is hard. Is it just Citi Field and they're like, much like the Braves when they come here? The Braves have the better record. The Braves have been the better team. The Braves win the division. And then they come here. Do they have it in their minds that, I know we're not playing we don't play very well in this particular building. Do the Phillies have that same mindset when they go to Citi Field? They've lost 24 of 30 games. That is a unbelievable number.
And throw 9 straight on top of that, or is it 10? Yeah, my 10. Fault. I can't even keep
said
up.
Something last night or the night before the game. Mm-hmm. And he said, when he was he's like, I went all the way back to 1996 when I was with the Yankees. And he's like, we had played, I forget what team, maybe Anaheim or something, and we lost we were 3-13 there. Yeah. And then we played in the playoffs and we swept them. There has been these weird instances where during the regular season, I don't think, though, anybody listening right now, if you played a series at Citi Field. Now, if you play the wild card, all 3 games would be here. Yeah. Would that make you feel any different or any better? Or is it the Mets? Or is it just the Mets at Citi?
Today, nothing would make me feel any better. If you're playing this Mets team, you're going home. That's how I feel. And I don't.
Even if the games are here, you're saying that Met team is in their head. It's not the Met team at Citi Field.
Yeah, you're done because that team owns you. They just do. I don't know why. I don't know how, but they do. And they're a quality baseball team, but not as quality as the Phillies make them look. But I want to ask you a question out there, and you can chime in on the phone line and the text line, 610-632-0975. Based on that Kyle Schwarber conversation, how phased are you? Because Kyle Schwarber says the Phillies are not phased. How long will this sweep by the Mets stick with you? Will it be a week? Will it be a month? Is it the rest of the season? When will it be that you look at this and say, okay, I've seen more from the Phillies to the point where I give up, or more from the Phillies to the point where that was a blip on the radar? I want to know, because I have a feeling a lot of folks out there are going to say that for the rest of the season they will be thinking about this series. Will it affect you for the rest of the year? 610-632-0975. You can call in. You can text in. Coming up next, I need to know what fair criticism is for this series with the Mets, because I've had some bad words, FCC compliant words, but bad words when it comes to how you should talk about your baseball team going through my mind. And I want to know what's fair and unfair, what's just and unjust. So we will discuss that next as we continue. Kincade and Salciunas. I'm Connor Thomas, in for Andrew Salciunas. Mike Gill to my left, in for John Kincade. And Haley Taylor-Simon on the board. We're back for more after this.
Do you feel unfulfilled?
keep flip-flopping those names because last time
So
I said
now
I was
I'm in for Andrew and you're in for John?
We're both in for both of them. Haley Taylor Simon on the board with the Labor Day
Yeah, we
holiday
got two
coming
Dub
up.
V's in the house, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
HDS is a Dub V'er.
Another
We do.
Mountaineer?
Yeah.
Two Mountaineers.
Ah, man.
Somebody already tweeted at me that they got two Dub V's in the house.
Oh, I love
We're
that.
outnumbering you.
I don't like being. Listen, I went to a small D3 school. Everyone always outnumbers me. We had 1,400 undergrad. It was like half the size of my high school. It's about the size of the Phillies fan base that actually still believes in them after this series with the New York Mets, if that many. And no, I'm pissed off today.
Let me
And
ask you one question real quick.
What's
Do you have
up,
a
Mike?
problem with the manager saying they battled last night? Like it sounds like you're intimating that they kind of did not give it their all, that they kind of laid down, that this, and then he says, we battled last night. He said he was asked a question. What bothered him in this series? The first game, I didn't think we played very well.
Yeah.
But in game 2 and game 3, I thought we battled and we played well.
I agree with him in game 2, and maybe not played well, but they battled with the Bader home run. Now, that felt more like one guy having a big swing than the whole team battling.
We'll give Castellanos credit for walking.
Yeah.
That's the first time I've seen him walking about.
I didn't know he was allowed to do that.
He
But
looked disappointed.
here's the thing, right? Do I agree with Rob Thompson saying that they battled in games 2 and 3? No, I do not. Am I going to let it, is that what bothers me from this series? No. I could give a damn what they say. And I know some people feel that way, and I know some people will harp on words.
Oh, yeah.
But for me,
Especially his words.
yeah, for me, what matters is what they put on the field. And what they put on the field was not good enough, which is why our question to you today, and you can join in on the phone line, text line, where are you at with this Phillies team? How phased are you? Because Kyle Schwarber said he's not phased. How long will this Mets series sweep stick with you? Is it rest of the year? Is it the next week and then you'll be back in on the playoff push? Is it another month and then once you get to October you say, okay, well, I got to wipe all of that and just view Red October as its own entity? I'm interested where you're at. I feel like I'm walking through a battlefield, right? A medieval battlefield, and I'm like poking the people laying on the ground, seeing if anyone's got a pulse. Like, hey, you're a Phillies fan. Are you still alive? Are you still alive?
Well, okay, so I don't know how to answer this question because I've said all along, I just don't think this team's good enough. But here's the thing that keeps me hanging on. And I don't know how I don't think other people think the way that I do.
Okay.
I'm a little oddball like this.
Try
right?
me.
I know, in my mind, this team is not good enough. Why? Their offseason told us the answer. They did nothing. And here we are at this point of the season. They still have done. Now, they added Duran, and that's a something. But in adding Duran, they've also lost Wheeler. So that's like half a dozen, one or the other. Here's the thing that I would say that keeps me staying, all right? And see if anybody wants to come on to the train with me on this one.
All right.
I'm 48 years old, okay? You just asked me
As
how
I
old
just found
was.
out, yeah.
I am 48 years old. Every run as a sports fan that I have ever been on was out of right field.
Yeah.
The 93 Phillies is really the first one that I remember. In 1992, I wasn't saying next year's our year, and then 93 happens, and I went on this wild run, and I was like, that was unbelievable. In 01 with the Sixers, I'm in college. I didn't see that happening, but I went along for the ride and had a blast. In 2017, nobody, 2008, excuse me, 2008 with the Phillies.
08 with the Phillies, yes.
In 08 with the Phillies, that wasn't expected. It just kind of happened. Like it manifested from the 017 that, got beat up in the playoffs, and then 08, 7 was 17, and then you're like, holy mackerel. And they won all of the championship runs and championship wins where none of them were expected. None of them did you say, this team is winning the World Series or going to the World Series or 2022. The manager got fired, and they make the playoffs, and then here we are on this wild ride to the World Series.
Yes.
So I kind of look at it and say, if this is going to happen, it is going to be because we don't expect it.
My counter would
Coming
be
with me?
No, I am not. Because of last year's Eagles team, because of last year's Dodgers team that won the World Series, because there are great teams in sports that are expected to win and then do so. But this Phillies team, are the expectations
Like
too
the
much
Chiefs?
weight for them?
Like the Chiefs?
Yes. Well, 2 out of the last 3 years ain't bad. They'll tell you that in Kansas City.
That's
but
true.
But the
Touche.
thing that I look at with the Phillies is where their expectation is. This is not supposed to be a miracle run. This is supposed to be a team that stepped up in the big moments.
That you're right about.
And right now they are underachieving on that. So where are you at as a fan of this baseball team? I know we have a lot of texts rolling in. We will check that later on this hour at 610-632-0975. You could also call in. Coming up next, I'm going to go through a list of quote-unquote dirty words about baseball teams or sports teams in general. Things that you don't question that I find myself questioning. Mike, you're going to have to help me out and figure what is valid and what is not. Fair criticism. We're also going to open up a conversation about the Philadelphia Eagles because they made a couple of moves yesterday and some interesting ones to tell you how they feel about certain spots on their roster. I'm Connor Thomas in for either John Kincade or Andrew Salciunas. Mike Gill in for the other. And Haley Taylor Simon on the board. We're back after this here on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
10 straight losses at Citi Field. I'm Haley Taylor Simon with your Fanatic Sports Update. This update is brought to you by Groundworks, your trained and certified experts for basement waterproofing and foundation repair since 1997. Book your free inspection at groundworks.com. The Phillies fell 6-0 to the Mets, getting swept yet again at Citi Field. This marks 10 straight losses at Citi Field for the Phils. Walker was out after 5 innings, which he gave up 3 hits, a walk, and allowed the Mets his 4th run of the night. In total, he allowed 10 hits and 4 earned runs. Kyle Schwarber, who went 0 for 11 in the series, spoke about the loss and how the Phillies need to focus on the next series.
We got to get back. We got another important series ahead of us. So, if we go, we got to go out and take care of business, and we still have another series against these guys, but, we're not looking to that. We're looking to the series ahead.
The Phillies are at home to face the Braves. We are 1 week away from the Eagles season opener at home against the Cowboys. The Eagles were back at practice yesterday, and Landon Dickerson, who had surgery on his right MCL exactly 2 weeks ago, was back practicing. Jeff Kerr joins the show at 8:25. This update is also brought to you by Wendy's Breakfast. 2 for $3 biggie bundles. Let you choose your perfect duo from your fave 4, including sausage or egg, cheese, biscuits, small seasoned potatoes, or medium hot coffee at participating U.S. Wendy's. I'm Haley Taylor Simon, and you're home with the best birds coverage on 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
3 nights in a row. I mean, listen, it had to be shut out, right? That had to be how the series ended. They already checked off blowout loss. They already checked off walk-off loss, and now they check off shutout loss. And, of course, it's to the rookie who has 2 career starts at the major league level. Now, I will say, Nolan McLean, who threw for the Mets last night, kid's got good stuff.
Okay, yes, he does. He was awesome last night. But we've been hearing about Andrew Painter, and they won't trade him, they won't trade him. Now they won't use him.
Yeah.
Justin Crawford, another guy. What more can he do? They won't use him. The Mets didn't seem to have any problem to say, you know what? The best guy we have that can help us right now, let's go get him. And he is, I mean, he's 3-0 with an ERA under 1. His whip is below 1. He's obviously helping them out when they needed it. This was a team that was just 7 games out, and now it feels like they're, basically put the pressure on you so much. But I keep wondering about that. Like, has anybody heard of McLean? Like, oh my God, the Mets have this pitcher, and when they bring him up, it's not like Andrew Painter. You've been hearing about for 3 years. And I get it. He's coming off the Tommy John, and that's a problem.
Right.
But can Crawford help you out? Can he do something for you? Because you're looking at a guy hitting like 350 down in the minors, and he's probably thinking, hey, can I help you? Is there anything I can do? Because you guys offensively look like you need a little shot in the arm.
They look like they need a shot in the arm everywhere. We're going to dive deeper into that conversation about the young players and where the Phillies are at when it comes to that. We're getting closer to the September call update. So we will discuss that later on in the 7 o'clock hour. But I want to go through this list of potentially 30 words about the baseball team. And you can continue to chime in on our main question of the day on the phone line, on the text line, 610-632-0975. How long is this Mets series going to sit with you? How phased are you? Because Kyle Schwarber said they're not phased in that clubhouse. The Phillies are not. But this fan base is clearly phased. I want to know, is it by next week you'll be over it? Is it going to be by October you're over it? Are you never getting over it with the 2025 Phillies team? Would love to hear your thoughts on that. And just listen, general reaction as well. We've been doing this for the last 3 days. We're going to continue to do it today because the Phillies continue to embarrass us. General reaction on the phone line, text line to what you just witnessed in New York, because you should wake up today and not go to work with any Phillies gear on. You should not wear your Phillies hat. Like, this is a day where you say, forget that baseball team. If they don't want to fight for it, then I'm not going to support them in this moment today. Now, when they play the Braves tonight at Citizens Bank Park and we get right back on the horse, root for the home team. But
the series got interesting. Sale's back. He's going to throw on, I think, Saturday, and then you're going to face Strider on Sunday Night Baseball. This Braves team is kind of, they're out of it, obviously, but they won dangerous. 2 in a row all of a sudden, and it's like they got Sale and Strider pitching. Like, they could certainly factor into this race. I'm thinking about this series thinking, yikes, this is not a great time to be having to face this team right now, the way that you're playing and the way they're all of a sudden turning it around. They've had so many injury problems.
Yes, but when they're healthy, they're dangerous, and they're starting to get healthier. We'll preview that series in the 9 o'clock hour. But the first word on my list here, I need you to tell me if it's too far or if it's fair. Quitters. Do you believe that the Philadelphia Phillies quit in this series against the New York Mets?
I don't think they quit. No, I think that's unfair. I don't think they quit. I do think that there is an element of, here we go again. I don't, there was a time, Romano's had an awful season, okay? And Thompson, after every game, will talk about him, he's throwing 97, 94. I mean, the stuff's there. The stuff is there, but you could see it in Romano's face. He gets up a home run. He's like, I don't understand it. I'm throwing 96 miles an hour, and I can't get anybody out. The feeling of doubt, to me, is more fair than they quit. The doubt of this ball, trickled here or did that. Why? Why does this keep happening while we're here? And I think that doubt is more fair than quit.
Okay. I always hesitate to go quit because I don't think that it happens often at all in Major League sports, or professional sports, I should say, where teams truly give up. Unless
it's an easy word to use.
Yes.
And I'm not saying like you're crazy to say it, but you were talking about the ups and downs. The fans are ups and down by the inning.
Yes.
By the inning. So I get it. Like the other night, you're up 3-0. Then the next thing you know, you're down. When you're up 3-0, this team's great. When you're down, you're like, this team sucks. I mean, so it can go crazy. But just I don't want to say they quit in this particular for this game because, look, they won 4 in a row a week ago, and we weren't thinking that anything. I think it's more doubt. The doubt creeping in of, here we go again. You can feel it watching the game sometime. You can feel it. I know the Bader overthrow. He missed the cutoff man on Wednesday night, I guess, or Tuesday night. The cutoff man. And nothing, everybody advances a base, but you could see it in your face of like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like those little things like that. The Bryce Harper, they pick the guy off. You don't run the guy to the advancing base. You bring him back to, and if the worst case scenario is he's stuck on first base, you don't run him to the advancing base.
Yeah, it was
but that
terrible.
part, you could just feel everyone like.
They tightened up.
Yes. So doubt would be more the word than quit.
How about gutless? Do you get the feeling that the Phillies didn't really, and to me what gutless means is when you are punched, just square body shot, right? It takes the wind out of you. And you're there. Do you stand back up? Like, that's what it felt like the Phillies did. They got a gut punch
in this series.
In the series.
That's a tough one because they did come back. They were down 5-3. Bader hits the home run. I gave Castellanos, who I don't give a lot of credit to a lot. That was a big at bat where he ends up walking. Bader hits the home run, 5-5. I feel like you lose the game with Duran. I joked on a Sunday. I'm usually on Sundays at 9 to noon here. Mm-hmm. And I joked one week, this whole Duran entrance. Would you pay $15 to see that entrance?
Absolutely.
Of course, look at this.
Yeah.
Finally, somebody with a brain.
100%.
I said, so if you bought a ticket for $40, and if Duran entered the game and got the save, you got charged an additional $15.
Yeah, sure. That's fine.
Sure, yeah.
Listen, that's fine.
The dopamine of, look at this. This is I know
part
how
of
many
the
people
draw.
Have. It's an attraction they did not have.
Right.
Now, that guy blows a save not once but twice. Now the doubt's starting to creep in that even this guy can't help us out.
Yeah.
That, the other night, 4 straight hits when he's got everybody in the palm of their hand, and then he showed he, too, has problems at Citi Field. I think all of the doubt, again, over gutless.
Yeah. Okay. So this next one that I have for you.
I like these words.
I think this is probably the most fair one that we've had to this point. Mopey.
It feels like it's so tied to Bohm and that whole situation.
A lot of it has to do with the parabolic microphone.
See what the Mets broadcast did last night?
Yeah.
They brought the cartoon parabolic mic on the screen.
Which, you opened up that can of worms, and that's on you for having to stop the game for 10 minutes complaining about something. Now, if you can't see and there's a ball in that light or whatever that was reflecting off it, I get it, but it's just the visual was terrible for
it's who
what
it
that
is.
Was. And it's Bohm, but it's not just Bohm. You saw plenty of guys. You brought up JT Remuto earlier. Golden sombrero for him last night, and you look at that and say, it's not putting together good at bats. You look mentally defeated. You look like you're moping. You look like your dog just died. And that's unacceptable in a game of that magnitude and a series of that magnitude.
Even Harper. Harper, there's a picture of him where he's crouched down and he's got his head down after the play that he makes the mistake on. How many times do we see Castellanos just absolutely wailing at a pitch out of the strike zone? The game, not last night, but the night before, it's 2-0 in the count. He swings at a pitch that's nowhere near the strike zone. And, that's at a bat where there's runners on base and Bader ends up doubling afterwards. If he's 3-0 in that count and Bader ends up doubling, now the whole game feels different. But you're right. The mopey nature of these at-bats, they carry on, and it lingers throughout the game because there's how many guys did they leave on base?
Yeah, they were terrible with runners in scoring position in this series. The Mets, here's the thing. I'll keep bringing this up because people just see the Phillies play the Mets. They only see whether or not the Mets lose on a given night. You're not watching Mets baseball unless they're playing the Philadelphia Phillies. But I get a chance to talk to some people who cover that team and a chance to look a little deeper into that sometimes because of what we do for a living. This is the job. The Mets have been terrible all year with runners in scoring position. They've been really bad. They weren't in this series against the Phillies. Everything the Mets that had been having trouble with seemed to go out the window, and everything the Phillies had been doing well seemed to go out the window. So maybe not gutless, maybe not quit, but they looked like they put their head down and kept it there.
Well, and real quick, Connor, Go back to game one. Christopher Sanchez out of character, kicking the trash can. Luzardo telling the umpire, this isn't the minor leagues. Something had manifested in this team that we have not seen a lot of.
Yeah.
And it wasn't in a positive way.
And if that moment happens in a 3-game series in August where you have a 7-game divisional lead over your opponent, what the hell are you going to do in October when you're dead even and your season's on the line? You can't feel good about that today if you're a Phillies fan. At least I think. But we'll hear from our friends on the text line. There are a lot of folks fired up. Haley's already told me we got a bunch of texts coming in on that. You can join them at 610-632-0975. How fazed are you by the Philadelphia Phillies sweep by the New York Mets? We'll play that Kyle Schwarber sound for you again. And we also have some Eagle stuff coming up as we get into the football conversation. They made a move yesterday that both excited me and kind of made me go, really? This is where we're at? So we will talk about that in the secondary coming up next, in addition to your text messages. I'm Connor Thomas alongside Mike Gill. We're in for John and Andrew here on Kincade Salciunas. Haley Taylor Simon on the board. And we're back after this here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Philly fans, you are the best sports.
So, I am one of you. Hand me a pitchfork, hand me a torch. This team just embarrassed you for 3 straight games on the biggest stage that they've been on this year. And if you have questions about bigger stages to come when we get to October, that's totally justified today. This is a series that is going to cost a lot of people who have held on to the faith that maybe this Phillies team can find something. It's going to cost them that confidence, maybe for the rest of the year. And that's what I'm worried about because I don't want you to give up on this team. But I can't come in here today and sit in this seat and say, believe. Oh, they're fine. Everything's okay. No, it is not with this Phillies team. And they may still figure this out, and they may still make a run. And I remember hating the 2022 Phillies and some of the stuff that they did, like day in and day out. Fundamental errors.
You're not a Ted Lasso guy?
No. I'm not there today. Like, I can be if this team shows me there's a reason to, but...
Let me ask you this. We're doing the show tomorrow and Monday together.
Yeah.
They win tonight. We talk tomorrow. We're having that conversation. What if they, on Monday, have now won and swept the they sweep the Braves? And we're talking about that Brewers series after they win 3 out of 4 against Atlanta.
So
do we feel... My question, I guess, on that was, do we believe any differently? Is there anything they can do, or is that series against the Mets the epitome of who they are, or can they do anything to erase your doubt? Because you sound down and out, man.
Yeah, I mean, for a lot of people, the answer to that question is no. For me, the answer to that question is it changes where the doubt is focused, right?
That one series is enough to put so much doubt that doubt cannot be overcome.
You can't beat that Mets team. Right, that's where I'm at right now. Ooh. You cannot beat them in a postseason series. If you face the Mets, to me, you are dead. Now, there's a chance that you don't face that team, and you've played other really good teams really well. So if they can handle the Braves and they bounce back and it's just we can't beat that Mets team, well, then it becomes you better not match up with them. You better cross your fingers and hope. And hope, not a great strategy. And trying to avoid an opponent often doesn't work out. So we'll see how that all plays out as the season continues to progress. But today is a day where a lot of people are going to be ticked off, and I'm one of them, and I want to hear from them on the text line. So, Haley, what do we have on our text line today?
All right, so this is Troy from Lancaster, and he says, let me overreact real quick. This team is trash. The Mets own us. We suck. Fire Rob, sell the team, burn the city down. Whoa. Reality, we are a good team. We just struggle to win at Citi Field, which is a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I love that text because that should be your reaction this morning, right? You should want to never watch baseball again. You should want to, the amount of tweets I saw about bleach drinking over the last 3 nights rivals some of the Eagles' biggest losses.
Bleach drinking.
But that's where people are at. They're done with this baseball team in the moment. But our texter, credit to our texter there.
Which I think is fair, by the way.
Yeah.
It is fair for anybody out there to be as irrational as you want, but just understand you're irrational.
Yeah, the texter.
That guy was half and half.
He follows up with the reality of hey, we just can't win at Citi Field, and maybe that's true. And that's why I say, Mike, when you ask me about the Braves series and if the Phils bounce back, what will that do for my psyche? It will turn this from a Phillies problem into a Phillies versus Mets problem. And ultimately, that's where I believe this actually lies. But today, I am not seeing the forest through the trees. I am seeing the trees directly in front of me, and that is lost game 1, embarrassing fashion. Lost game 2, walk-off fashion. Lost game 3, shutout without a prayer. There was a point in the 6th inning of that baseball game where the Philadelphia Phillies had more swings where they had accidentally thrown their bat than hits in the game. In the 6th inning.
True.
It was just... they looked completely lost last night, and maybe it was just a guy that has really good stuff. We'll see what Nolan McLean turns into as his Major League Baseball career.
Well, so I said the other day on the second game, it looked like a team that the pressure was getting to them. They know City is in their heads, and it's only August. To which somebody said, why can't it just be a bad matchup for them?
Is
the Mets a bad matchup, or is it City?
Yes.
It goes back to the City thing for me because they did win 2 out of 3 against the Mets not too long ago.
Yeah,
this series with them coming up in 2 weeks is going to either have people jumping off completely and turn into the Eagles. Like, the Eagles play Thursday night.
Yeah.
The Phillies almost need them to take some of the there is so much on them right now.
Yeah.
The Eagles starting on Thursday night will put them on the back burner for a little while, and that might be exactly what they need.
Yeah, let's check another text here, Haley.
That was close. Anyways, this kind of goes off of what Mike was saying, Tyler from Newtown. The series sticks with you until you play them again in 2 weeks at home. They've got to punch back. That series will give me confidence at home at least.
hopefully. We don't know if that series will give you confidence. What if the Mets come down and take 3 or 4 there and just firmly tell you?
And you got a problem.
Yeah, they're the better team. And that's the thing. I can't wait until that point in mid-September as you push towards the postseason to be like, do we have a problem or not? This team needs to be settling, not creating all this turmoil. And that's what they're doing right now from base. So if you're upset, like our first couple of texters, we'd love to hear from you. If you're happy and you're like, oh, it's just 3 games against the Mets, I don't care that they got swept. Listen, I'm going to call you crazy, but we'd love to hear from you as well. 610-632-0975. Now, the Eagles made an interesting move yesterday to open up our football conversation. And part of it excites me, part of it worries me. So they went out and they brought back safety Marcus Epps. Now, Epps has formerly started for the Philadelphia Eagles in previous iterations of this team. He was available from New England. The Philadelphia Eagles bring him in to add him to a safety room. Now, I think, Mike, one of my theories throughout training camp and preseason has been we're so caught up on the cornerback 2 situation that we may be overlooking how much of a problem safety could be. And
it's fair.
Yeah.
It's definitely fair. The Epps thing is interesting because a lot of times the Philadelphia sports fan, if you haven't noticed, loves the reunion.
Yes.
Anytime the former player, especially one, he was on that 2022 Super Bowl team that lost to the Chiefs, started all 17 games, was a pretty productive player. And it got to the point where I think people wanted to bring him back, but he just got an offer from Vegas that he couldn't refuse, and they replaced it with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson.
Right. And that seemed to work out pretty well.
The first year they didn't replace it with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. It wasn't until
in 24
right,
when
so
they
when
did.
he was gone, they brought in Edmonds and they traded for Byard.
Yes.
So the reunion is always intriguing because as soon as he was out, I joked on my daily show of, that the fans are going to want to bring Marcus Epps back, and we were kind of like, that's not happening. He missed all last year with an ACL, so you don't know what version of guy you're getting. Are you getting a guy in here because they know him, or are they getting a guy in here because they don't like what they have?
Yeah, I think it's both, right? I think they had an opportunity to bring back a player that they know works in this building and knows a lot of players. He does not have the Vic Fangio system knowledge because that was Jonathan Gannon's defense back in 2022, but Epps is a veteran player. The reason why
Same concepts.
worries me. Yeah, it's similar to a similar type of setup. But what worries me is, it's not Malcolm Jenkins. It's not Brian Dawkins. All right? It's not even Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. This is Marcus Epps we're talking about. And when I see the fan base get excited that Marcus Epps is coming back in, it again accentuates the idea that this safety position is a bit of a crapshoot still. And I don't want us to overlook this just because we don't know who's starting at corner.
Well, I would throw this into the mix and see what you think. They like Makuba. He has performed. He's been hurt, and that's probably one worry. I think they would rather a veteran player behind Makuba. For some reason, I feel like Fangio that Sidney Brown's just not his guy, and he's looking for anybody out. Now, I was a little surprised they got rid of McCollum yesterday. We'll see what ends up happening if they can get him back on the practice squad. What time was it? Not even 7 o'clock in the morning. So they're probably waiting to see if they can get him back on the practice squad if he doesn't get claimed. But it kind of tells me they like Makuba. They'd rather a veteran player in that room than the other guy being Sidney Brown.
And that's a fair point. And I have no issue with them doing this move and bringing back Marcus Epps. It is a good thing for the team. It's positive. But my thing is with the focus there and that being the guy that they're looking at is okay, could he be a guy that maybe starts week 1? I don't see that turnaround with how quickly he'd have to get up to snuff before next Thursday. Week from today, by the way. Eagles-Cowboys game day.
I would caution. He was just in New England with Mike Vrabel, a defensive-minded guy, and they cut him.
Yeah, so
don't be so excited.
Exactly, and that's where I worry a little bit. But this is what you have to do at those positions. You can make moves, but they are, with all due respect to Marcus Epps, scrap heap moves in most cases. So what are your thoughts on the Philadelphia Eagles and what they've done so far? How are you feeling about this team as we're a week away from game day? Wow. Football season's almost here, folks. You can chime in on that in addition to our Phillies conversation, 610-632-0975. Coming up next, we'll check back in on the text line because a lot of people are buzzing on the Fightin' Phils and the not so much fighting that they showed up in New York. But who do you blame? Who do you blame for this series? Who do you point to first? We'll discuss that coming up next, as well as get more of your thoughts here on Kincade Salciunas. I'm Connor Thomas alongside Mike Gill, Haley Taylor Simon on the board. We're all filling in here as we get closer to the Labor Day holiday. 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
10 straight losses at Citi Field. I'm Haley Taylor Simon with your sports update. This update is brought to you by Wendy's Breakfast. Wendy's Breakfast 2 for $3 biggie bundles lets you choose your perfect duo from your fave four, including a sausage or egg and cheese biscuit, small seasoned potatoes, or medium hot coffee at participating U.S. Wendy's. The Phillies fell 6-0 to the Mets, getting swept yet again at Citi Field. This makes 10 straight losses at Citi Field for the Phils. Walker was out after 5 innings, in which he gave up 3 hits, a walk, and allowed the Mets his 4th run of the night. In total, he allowed 10 hits and 4 earned runs. Kyle Schwarber, who went 0 for 11 in the series, spoke after the game about focusing on the following series ahead.
We got to get back. We got another important series ahead of us. So, if we go, we got to go out and take care of business, and we still have another series against these guys, but, we're not looking to that. We're looking to the series ahead.
We're 1 week away from the Eagles' season opener at home against the Cowboys. The Eagles were back at practice yesterday, and Landon Dickerson, who just had surgery 2 weeks ago, was participating. This update is also brought to you by Rapid Radios. Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies with nationwide LTE coverage. For a limited time, get 60% off and free UPS shipping at rapidradios.com. Use code radio for an extra 5% off. I'm Haley Taylor Simon on your home of the best birds coverage on 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
So, in spite of the Phillies trying to ruin our mood, I do have something that could bring you up today. If you're listening here, I'm Connor Thomas alongside Mike Gill. We're filling in for John and Andrew, who are both on vacation ahead of football season getting going. But it is still a Wendy's Thursday, and we do still have $50 Wendy's gift cards to give away. 4 of them, one every hour. We're going to be giving away through our text line. So, let's just pick a random number. 3 is in my head for some reason. Maybe
3 straight losses.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe we'll go 10 later for the 10 straight losses that the Phillies have at Citi Field. But the third texter to the text line, who just text the word Wendy's. We'll keep it simple to start. Third texter, you will win a $50 Wendy's gift card. Wendy's has breakfast biscuits for just $1, including the Honey Buddy. Get yours today and start your day off right. Got to be Wendy's, limited time only. Price of participation may vary. Limit 5 qualifying items per transaction. Not valid in a combo while supplies last. You need it today because the Phillies certainly are not giving you any happiness. So our friends at Wendy's will look to do that for you. So I want to check in on the text line again here on what's going on with the Phillies. And if you have any thoughts on the Eagles conversation that we had, we got a week until first game of the season for the Philadelphia Eagles. So while today you're feeling baseball-centric, a lot of people are going to be looking for something to take their mind off the Phillies. And, Mike, you brought it up earlier. They're going to turn to the birds, and it's about time that we do so as well. So,
You know my favorite part of it, the Eagles season starting?
what is that?
You know, I live down the shore.
Yeah.
You guys are all gone.
Oh, yeah, you kick everybody out.
I am ready for it to end, man.
Now, you say...
And I want football season to start more than I want people to leave. I like you people so much down the shore, but I want football season.
See, you say you guys. Now, Mike, you and I have not shared the studio together. I'm a
I bet you for the first time in my life today.
Yeah, I'm a Jersey guy. So I'm not one of the, listen, I'm pro.
There's a difference between you and a Jersey guy
and a shore
saying
person.
I live in South Jersey and you live in Cherry Hill. That's
no, I got you. I'm like Mount Laurel, Mount Holly area growing
Well,
up.
you don't count.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I don't want to hear from you, Miss PA. The problem is everybody from PA comes over and steals
My
the shore. But that's
parents
totally
live
fine.
down the shore.
Yeah,
Mike knows that.
Yeah. As you're listening to 97.5 The Fanatic, WPEN and WPEN HD1, Burlington, Philadelphia, Beasley Media Group station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studios. We're powering possibilities. All right, let's get another text here from the people who are chiming in on the Phillies. What do we have there, Haley?
Mike from Phoenixville texts in and he says that this is my final straw. I was done with this team. I was down on this team when the Seattle series happened. They sucked me back in. It won't happen again. I'll watch every game, and I still won't watch the team if they beat the Braves, Milwaukee, and even if they make it to the postseason. I'm done.
So they're done. They're out. See, that's something that I don't want, right? Because I'm as mad as you guys this morning. I am. Like, I'm disheartened. I don't want to sit down in front of the television tonight, 6:45, and watch the Phillies take on the Braves. Like
That's what it was, by the way. Those 7:15 starts were brutal. 7:10.
Yeah.
That's it.
You think it is? It's the time?
It hurt me, man. Tell you what.
Yeah.
I'm not used to waking up at 4 a.m., and I was looking at the clock last night like, hey, let's go. Let's go with this thing here. You know, all week I was waking up like 5 to try to get myself ready. 7:10 was a little different, man. I'll tell you that much. But that guy there is interesting. I can't imagine being that kind of sports fan. Like the guy who watches the game and then something happens and then they turn it off.
Yeah.
Or this loss here has driven me to no longer watch. Like, what else are you watching?
There's a lot of other stuff to do out there, man. The Eagles are about to get going. There's a lot of good shows on TV.
They're only on once a week, Dave.
The weather's still nice. Maybe they can come visit you down the shore. But listen,
no.
I get the feeling that our texter there is not the only person who is done
agree.
with this team.
I would agree.
And that's done in the moment. I don't believe that texter who said they're not going to watch the rest of the year, this is the final straw, actually won't watch.
I will say, though, he's not wrong in that. Like, it goes back to what I said. I don't anticipate a deep playoff run with this team.
I don't either.
I also didn't think they were going to beat the Cardinals and then the Braves and then go the Padres and then go to the World Series. And I enjoyed the whole run. Now, the run ended with a loss to the Astros, obviously, and that was disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things about sports that is great is it's so, like, social.
Yeah.
It's a night out. Hey, the game's on tonight. Where are we going to watch it? The result of the game does suck in the moment, But all of the lead up, like I already know, October 4th, okay? First game of the NLDS. Hopefully they're playing in the NLDS and not the CS. But October 4th is that first Saturday of the playoffs. I already know. I'm taking the ferry to Dewey Beach. I'm going to watch the game down in Delaware. I went there last year to watch Phillies match, found a cool little spot. We're already like, that was so fun. Let's all do it again.
Yeah.
The event-based nature of sports, that's why I can't be that guy.
I can't. And also because of what we do for a living, we have to watch the games and be zoned in on what's going on with this team. But if you're a fan that does not have professional implications of whether or not you watch the Phillies, and you're done today, or at least done for some period of time because of what you saw in New York, I cannot blame you. I am normally the everybody get on the bandwagon, this Phillies team is good, believe in something guy. But I can't make that argument to you today. If you're out, you're out. And I hope you come back. I hope you look at 2022 as an example of what can happen even if a team's regular season looks like they're lost. But I should not be making comparisons between the 2022 Phillies and the 2025 Phillies. Different expectations, different talent level, different team.
Many of the same players.
Yes. But this is what you got to do when you go to a World Series, you go to an NLCS, and then you backtrack in the postseason.
Well, you said different talent level.
Yeah.
Harper, Stott, Turner's really the one guy. Bohm was there. Marsh was there. Bader, Castellanos was there. Realmuto was there. Nola was there. Sanchez.
I mean, you had Schwarber playing left field. You had Matt Vierling on that team. Like, you had guys playing on that team that have been replaced by better players.
Yeah, a few of the complementary pieces. The whole outfield thing, this thing is, like, bizarre to me. Like, this puzzle piece, I've been trying to figure out, because we were talking about McLean last night, and then, obviously, you're trying to find a way to improve this team. Last year, they tried Austin Hayes. That didn't work. Now they bring in Harrison Bader. Is Bader really putting you over the top? He's a nice player, adds a little energy, had a big hit the other night. Is he really? This team has needed a middle-of-the-order bat since they have realized that Castellanos can't do that job. They continue to add a bat. Last night, Harrison Bader hit ninth.
Yeah.
Is adding a guy to hit in the 9-hole changing the complexion of this team? And that's why I go back to that 2022 team. They had problems in 2020. They got no hit in a World Series game, by the way. They had problems in 2022. The same problems persisted in 2023, which also manifested in 2024. They've done nothing to make anybody think that those things are changing in 2025.
Yeah, and that's why we need to go deeper on this conversation. It's very easy for you to shoot us a text and say, yeah, I'm done, I'm not watching, like our text has just sent in. But I need to know where you first think, right? So here's another question that we're going to add on. When you watched that Mets series and when you turned your TV off in disgust last night after Game 3, watching them get shut out, what was your first thought? Was your blame pointed at, there's three options here. The players on the field, the ones who came up small against the Mets and we have seen come up small in postseasons of the past. The manager, who has become a lightning rod for when this team seems to have those mopey, defeated type of performances where it doesn't look like they have that fire that you want to see from a Philadelphia sports team that is so ingrained in the fabric of this fan base? Or is it the president of baseball operations who ultimately constructed this team and may have, like you were just talking about there, Mike Gill, left them in the lurch? What do you point to first? Where's your blame go, Mike?
Wow, there's so much there. You know, I'm not a big blame the manager guy. I know that a lot of people think that he doesn't have the fire. He's very laid back and that, you know, they go after him a lot. I'm not a big blame the manager guy. I feel like in today's baseball world, the manager's role is a lot lessened than it used to be.
Yes.
You know, but even down to the lineups, I'm not even sure. Like everybody says, yeah, Rob puts the lineup together. I think they all sit in a room together. They look at the analytics and they kind of construct a lineup together and just kind of go off of that. So the manager, to me, his laid-back nature, I think, bothers so many people, particularly in this town. But it has to go to the hand that he's dealt. And that goes to Dave Dombrowski. He's made a lot of nice moves and moves that get you excited. But it's the edges that he has not been able to figure out. And the money. They spent $14 million on Romano and Ross.
Yeah, and neither of those guys are currently pitching for you. One released, or one on the injured list with some phantom injury that maybe exists, maybe doesn't.
To kind of answer, I think I look at the construction of this team first and foremost.
I have the manager third myself personally. I agree with you. Second to me is the players on the field, and first to me is Dave Dombrowski. I'm at this point where I say, okay, this team is not built the way that it should have been built. And some people got to that quicker, maybe too quick, but at this point in the season, that's the guy that I point to because it feels like they are fighting with one hand behind their back. Now, is that fair to criticize Dave Dombrowski in that fashion? We'll continue that conversation coming up. And is Kyle Schwarber the only one who's saying after that series with the Mets, yeah, we're not phased. We've been here before. He's not. And maybe a guy that you wish was still at the helm of this baseball team is on Kyle Schwarber's side. We'll play something for you coming up from Larry Boa, who was on these airwaves yesterday, and what he had to say about his faith in the Phillies. We'll hear from Larry Boa coming up next. It is Kincade Salciunas. I'm Connor Thomas alongside Mike Gill. We're filling in for John and Andrew here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Join the Fanatic for the inaugural live broadcast of Unfiltered with Silvana Kelleher.
Device and, of course, the radio.
Now, back to the show.
The 7 a.m. hour of Kincade Salciunas is brought to you by the Bet Parks online casino and sportsbook app. Live bet sports on the Bet Parks app and play all your favorite casino games. Bet Parks has a great offer for new users. Got to be 21, Pennsylvania, Jersey, or Maryland. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Heading into the 7 o'clock hour here on Kincade and Salciunas. I'm Connor Thomas alongside Mike Gill. John and Andrew both on vacation. They'll be back on Tuesday after the Labor Day holiday, and then it'll be week 1 of the NFL season. Man, do we need that right now with the Phillies? Absolutely, we do. To have football back here in Philadelphia.
You know, that Thursday, it's Phillies, Brewers at 4.
Yeah.
Eagles, Cowboys, 8:20.
Could be a fun day.
Double disco, baby.
Could be a miserable afternoon that leads into a fun night.
I wonder if that guy's going to tune in.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he'll catch the end when he accidentally turns on the TV early to catch the Eagles game because we've had texters saying that they're done. They're not watching any more Phillies games this year. The final straw has happened. Now, Kyle Schwarber, earlier on in the show, we played this. We played it in the 6 o'clock hour. He talked about how the Phillies are not fazed by their performance against the Mets and kind of the whole idea we've been here before. We got a veteran locker room and everything like that. Here's what Kyle Schwarber had to say about the Phillies' performance in New York.
First off, I think that there's disappointment, right? Who likes to lose? No one likes to lose. But there's nothing that can really faze us. I think that, we've been swept before this year. We bounced back. So we got to do the same thing. And I'm not worried about it. I know everyone's going to have the right mindsets going into the next series, and we go from there.
Not fazed, not worried about it. We've been swept before. We bounce back. We got to do it again. Company line from the voice of the team. And that's what they need to say, right? In-house. I don't blame Kyle Schwarber for saying that at all because you need to stabilize now. The waters are getting choppy, and you can't just start turning the wheel all willy-nilly. That's how you capsize. But the fan base is clearly not of that mentality, and you should not be. This is a point where it's dueling opinions. The team is going to tell you one thing, the fan base is going to feel another. But it's not just the people that are on the team and in the clubhouse. Larry Boa also talked about that same type of idea that Kyle Schwarber was trying to articulate there. Here's what Boa had to say yesterday on these airwaves.
If it was a really young team, I'd say yes. These guys are veterans. They've been around the block. They've been in playoffs. They've been in a World Series. They know what they have to do. I mean, if you go look at both these games, it was one inning in both these games where they got multiple runs. So if we can win tonight, they pick up one game, which is not a big deal. And they got to come down here and play us 4 times. So I'm really not concerned about what the Mets are doing. I know we haven't played good up there, but it's too good a team for this to keep happening. There's no doubt in my mind. We'll get this thing squared away.
Now, that was obviously before last night's performance where the Phils were shut out, embarrassingly, 1 hit through 6 innings, and they lose all 3 to the New York Mets. But what do you think there of what Larry Boa had to say, Mike? Do you buy into his point about this being a veteran team who's been here before?
It's kind of what was in my mind, is that the Schwarber answer is the veteran answer. Hey, We've been swept before. I'm looking back. I remember these series because I remember the reactions. They got swept by the Pirates back in June. They had lost 5 straight at that point. They lost 2 to Toronto. Then they got swept in Pittsburgh. And I'm trying to remember back to all of the irrational takes. And then all of a sudden, after that, they went on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They won 5. Then they lost a game, then won 3 more. So they won basically 8 out of 9. So I think Boa's answer is the level, which is surprising from Boa, right? To hear him be like, you got to be fired up. You got to be, this is the time of the year. Is it, the Pittsburgh, they lost 5 straight. Then they won 8 out of 9. Is it the time of the year now that is magnifying this? That's one. Is it the Mets at Citi Field that is magnifying it even more? Yeah. That, to me, is part of this whole conversation, is how much is this? If they got swept by someone, yes, you're disappointed, you're angry. But it's the nature of you've lost now 10 straight games at that particular place that I think has elevated all of it. And then their reaction kind of being like, not seeing what we're seeing is, you lost to the same team 10 times in that building. And they're like, we've been swept before. That's where I think gets the fans riled up.
Yes, that's not going to be a fun thing for people to hear this morning. And I understand it. Now, I have a little story from back what I used to do before I got into sports talk radio. I used to be in mortgage sales. And we went through, the rates went up, and they laid off 50%, the company that I worked for, of their sales force. So a lot of people getting gone all the time. And there were some people with good numbers that were good salespeople that lost their jobs because of that going up. And there was an expression that I heard a guy use one time who was one of the top salespeople for basically the whole year, and he ends up getting let go because his numbers that time were not what they wanted to see. And he just, as on his way out of the building, said it was a bad week to have a bad week. And this might have been just one of those situations where it was a bad series to have a bad series, right? Playing the Mets, knowing that you can potentially put a nail in this division, or a nail, maybe not all the nails that you need, but get it very close to being locked up. If this had happened the opposite way, we'd be rolling out of New York with a 10-game lead. That was on the table. And this might have been just one of those slump periods for the Phillies. But, man, it can't happen there.
Can I give you a positive spin on that?
Sure. You could try. I'm not really in the mood for positive spins today, but go for it.
Well, you just said something that made me think, you could have been up by 10 games, and that sounds great, except for the fact that you're basically playing out the month of September with not a lot of pressure. I like the pressure. I know it's an unconventional way to get to the pressure, but I actually rather play baseball games the rest of the way down the stretch. Look at the Braves the last couple of years. They won the series, the division by 14 games.
Yeah.
2 straight years, and they didn't play September baseball, and then they got into October with any pressure on them, and then they get steamrolled by the Phillies because where's the pressure? Where's the sense of urgency night to night when you're up by 10 games going into the month of September? So I actually don't like how you got here, but I do like the fact that you have to play these games every night with intensity.
2 counterpoints to that. One, the Braves still did play a lot of their big guys, even though they weren't playing their full lineups. They had a good number of that, like big core, playing 162 or close to it. I think that's part of the reason that they've gone through major injuries in recent seasons and have not been as productive because they got burnt out chasing those 100-win seasons. And the other thing is you would have been fighting the whole way anyway because you need to get one of the top 2 seeds, and the Dodgers and Padres were breathing down your neck. So
that's a good point.
So
the Dodgers have now passed you, by the way. Half game passed you.
And if you're in the wild card series, I don't know if this team has any chance, right? If you're in the divisional series and you get that bye, at least you can set up your rotation, what's left of it, and try and make something work there and win 2 series, and then who knows what happens in the World Series. But you got to go into a wild card series, and maybe it's against that Mets team that just dominated you. I understand people thinking with a defeatist attitude today because that's kind of where I'm at. I don't know what this team is anymore. I don't know if I believe my eyes anymore when I tell you they're a good baseball team, and I don't know if they believe that. They got to show that in the month of September as we head into the final month of the regular season. Now, we're about to head into the first month of the regular season for the NFL. And the Eagles did something yesterday, and I saw outrage. Now, there are 2 reasons why people may be ticked off by what Howie Roseman did yesterday. Is it the principle of the move, or is it who the Eagles are? We'll talk about that next and get more on our text line on the Phillies conversation. I'm Connor Thomas alongside Mike Gill, Haley Taylor Simon on the board. We're back after this here on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
10 straight losses at Citi Field. I'm Haley Taylor Simon with your Fanatic Sports Update, and this update is brought to you by Mattress Firm. Need better sleep? Upgrade to a premium mattress at Mattress Firm's Labor Day sale, the best sale of the year. They make sleep easy. The Phillies fell 6-0 to the Mets, getting swept yet again at Citi Field. This marks the 10th straight loss at Citi Field for the Phils. Walker was out after 5 innings in which he gave up 3 hits, a walk, and allowed the Mets his 4th run of the night. In total, he allowed 10 hits and 4 earned runs. Kyle Schwarber, who went over 11, talked after the game, saying that he was unfazed by what happened. The Phils are at home to face the Braves. And hey, Aaron Nola's on the mound going up against Kale Quantrill. We are 1 week away from the Eagles season opener at home against the Cowboys. The Eagles were back at practice yesterday, and Landon Dickerson, who had surgery on his right MCL exactly 2 weeks ago, was participating. Jeff Kerr will join the show at 8:25. This update was also brought to you by Wendy's Breakfast. Wendy's Breakfast, 2 for $3 biggie bundles lets you choose your perfect deal.
Kincade and Salciunas.
Today's talk show, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
We're going to talk about an Eagles move yesterday that was made by General Manager Howie Roseman that people were upset about. And I think that they were more upset that it was the Eagles. And I think this is a good thing for Eagles fans. We're going to talk about that in a little bit, about the mentality around the NFL shifting on your favorite football team as we get prepared 1 week till the start of the NFL season. Eagles, Cowboys. Wow, I can't wait. It's almost here.
You like the fact that they're playing the Cowboys in the first game of the season, or would you have rather somebody else?
No, I'd rather somebody else. I'd rather a bigger game. Now, with the Micah Parsons thing, the storylines are clearly there, and that has started to develop, but I would have rather it be the Lions. I'd rather it be, I don't know, one of the higher-tier teams in the NFC that you look at and say, okay, this is going to be a potential playoff preview, whereas the Cowboys, I don't think, are that good of a football team. I think they're a 7-8 win team, and that, to me, doesn't scream first game of the year.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, the whole idea of, oh, it's the Cowboys, you get to hang the banner in front of them or show the banner in front of them, great. But I'd rather see better football.
Now, see, I have always been I'm more into the Eagles-Giants game, although that rivalry has not been much. The Giants have not been good. I was always, like, bristled by the mouth, like this, I don't know, the whole Cowboy thing. The Cowboys haven't been relevant in 30 years yet. I feel it's beneath the Philadelphia fan to actually, like, give them the credence that they don't deserve.
Yeah, right. Like, I just don't want them on that stage because they haven't earned that stage. That's how I feel about
But
Cowboys.
I feel that most fans still have this Eagles-Cowboys thing that I really feel like should have dissipated by now.
Yeah, well, kind of. But at the same time, I have an argument on that, and we'll talk about this a little bit later on the show because I do have thoughts on why that still exists. But I want to check in on our text line again here. I know a lot of reaction on the Phillies is coming through, and man, I'm livid with this baseball team. I'm at the point, right? I said it to Andrew Salciunas yesterday before he left for vacation. I was like, they better win tonight because I don't know that I have a third straight day of just coming in here and screaming into this microphone in me. So if you hear me today and you're like, oh, Connor, you're not as angry as it sounds like you should be. Part of that is just because what more do you want me to say? I said it all on yesterday. Like, this team was mentally defeated. Andrew asked me, like, is there a chance they win tonight? I was like, no, there's no chance they ever beat this team at Citi Field ever again. That's where I'm at mentally. So if I sound more down than angry, understand that it's because I'm where I think a lot of people are. I'm over it right now with this baseball team. What do we have on the text line, Haley?
All right, so we have a text from Steve, and he says, the Folding Phils will never win a World Series with this group of players. They're as trustworthy as a gas station hot dog, and their season, yet again, will end with a whimper. Go Birds.
So it sounds like Steve there because we were asking the blame conversation. Appreciate the text from Steve. Also appreciate everyone who's chiming in on the YouTube chat, as always. Good morning to the YouTube. But it sounds like Steve is pointing his blame in the direction of the players more so than the manager or the president of baseball operations. Now, the players and
which I don't mind.
Right.
That's a rational take. You want to blame the players. This group of players has not been good enough, and there's no reason to think that all of a sudden. See, this is the one issue that I have with this team. You don't generally get better as you continue to age. You generally start to dissipate a little bit.
Yeah.
So this team has not been good enough in their younger incarnation. Why would I think they're going to be better as they get to the wrong side of the older? It's different if you're 23 now becoming 27. These guys are 30 becoming 33. That's where you're starting to say, where is all of a sudden more production going to come from?
Exactly. And the other part of it, too, is this is not like pick up baseball or pick up basketball or pick up any sport where some guys like pick their teams, and then if you were the person who put your team together, oh, well, maybe you knew that guy couldn't shoot and he's on your team. And you're like, man, I did a bad job of getting the guys that I wanted. Like, these are all professional baseball players. They're all paid handsomely by the Philadelphia Phillies to be out there and get the job done. Like, this is not nobodies, rookies, anything like that. This is Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, Trey Turner, JT Realmuto, Nick Castellanos. other guys that have been here on big stages before. So I can't look at the manager and be like, well, why do you not have the orange slices ready for in-between innings? Why are you not motivating these guys? This is not like little kid soccer. At some point, the players got to play. And I can't point to Rob Thompson and be like, well, why aren't you motivating your guys? I point to the players ahead of the manager because go do your job. Stand up against the big, bad New York Mets, who you seem to be afraid of every time you take the field up there at Citi Field, and do something that stops that narrative. Rob Thompson didn't swing a bat in the damn series. He didn't throw a pitch. Now, defensive alignments, we're going to have a conversation. But I got to point to the players, and then I also, hand in hand, have to point to the guy who chose these players as the team he wanted to put together.
And look, this is why the manager thing is an interesting conversation, okay? Number one, you got a guy, Joe Girardi. He got hired here. People loved it. Why? He was fiery. He won a World Series. Then he got here. He just was all of a sudden a terrible manager? Like, he won the World Series. You liked him because he was fiery. He got here, and it didn't work out. To me, it's because now that team was 22-29, I believe, when he ended up getting fired. Thompson took over, and all of a sudden they took off. You have situations. Gabe Kapler's interesting. Guy was despised.
Yeah.
Goes to San Francisco, wins over 100 games as manager of the year. You probably couldn't name one guy on that team.
No, it helped that Brandon Crawford had some 40 home run season where that came out of nowhere.
But
wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
But there you go. He had players that exceeded some expectations. Now, is that because of him? Like, Thompson's an interesting scapegoat here because he comes in, he takes that team to the World Series. He's Philly Rob, but he's not the personality of the kind of guy that generally the fan base here likes.
They want someone to stand up and yell and get this team motivated. Yes. And you know what? After performances like last night, these are the days where I don't mind people having that criticism. I will not tell you you're wrong with your criticism of anybody in that Phillies organization. You want to go after the grounds crew today? I know they were on the road, but maybe you think they haven't been doing a good enough job. Like, anything is on the table. They just got swept by the Mets.
The lights were on over there on my drive here today.
Oh, were they?
So maybe the grounds crew is doing
They're
some
putting
extra
in the
work.
extra work. I love that. Everybody needs to, because I can't go through another series.
But listen, like, I get it. Like, I the people who are like, hey, Thompson needs to get tossed from the game. He needs to show more fire. They also believe that if he does this, then all of a sudden the end result will be the Phillies will turn it around. They don't go hand in hand a lot of times. So it is more of your own personal, like, I want to see my guy because that's who I want to represent us. Not necessarily because it means your team is going to all of a sudden turn the page.
We get mad when Bryce Harper panders and how he acts like this Philly guy since signing with the Philadelphia Phillies. Now, I personally believe that he believes it, and it's more buy-in than pandering. But we get mad at that. And then when we have somebody whose personality does not fit the city, like Rob Thompson, we kill him for that. We got to decide what we want. But that's a bigger conversation about the psyche of the fan base. That is not not necessarily the focus today, with the baseball team not getting the job done on the field. Now, I want to open up this Eagles conversation. And this is one I need to hear from Eagles fans on. Because yesterday, the Eagles did not just bring back Marcus Epps. They claimed offensive lineman Willie Lampkin from the Los Angeles Rams. Now, he was on the waived injury designation. And apparently, according to some people around social media that were responding on this move, Rams fans, this could be considered dirty pool. There's this quote-unquote unwritten rule that some people believe in around the NFL where you're not supposed to use a waiver claim on a guy who is let go due to injury. Now, here's the thing. You're allowed to by the rules. It is something that is totally legal by the NFL's waiver claim setup. Why would you not try and improve your team? So I'm not in favor of breaking rules, right? Cheating, University of Michigan type of stuff. But towing the line, that's what great teams do. We've seen it in every sport forever. But people were all upset because Howie Roseman went out and claimed this player, and they felt that it was kind of hey, we had this agreement that we shouldn't do that. I don't think it's Howie Roseman, because if the New York Jets, for example, had claimed Willie Lampkin, I don't think there would be this vitriol about the injury waiver designation. You know what I think it is? I think we are starting to see the Philadelphia Eagles truly enter, and we'll see it more this year, the we hate everything they do category from other fan bases. We saw it with the Chiefs. We saw it with the Patriots. With the Eagles poised for what could be a repeat season, I want Eagles fans to tell me, how do you feel about the entirety of the rest of the NFL hating your guts? They're going to come at everything you do. They're going to hate everything, from the tush-push to waiver claims to everything in between. Do you like it? Because I got to tell you, I kind of like it. 610-632-0975. Mike, I want your thoughts on that on the other side, what's going on there. We're also going to get into the conversation on the young players for the Phillies and if a spark is mandatory at this point. So a lot still to get into here, but are you comfortable with the Eagles being the hate your guts team in the NFL with the success they've experienced recently? I think it's coming this year, folks. Chime in at 610-632-0975. I'm Connor Thomas alongside Mike Gill, Haley Taylor, Simon on the board. In for John and Andrew here on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Ricky Bo, Bill Colarulo.
I can't do the overreaction for this team just yet. I got to let things play out a little bit. Here's the problem. When they lose games like that.
Fanatic and 97.5 thefanatic.com.
Connor Thomas sitting in for Andrew Salciunas, Mike Gill in for John Kincade to my left, Haley Taylor Simon on the board. The guys are off for their Labor Day vacation, and the Phillies are off for maybe the rest of the year if you're some of our texters who said that they are done with this team after their performance up in Flushing. And Flushing is aptly named with what the Phillies are going to have to do with that performance. Just put it down the toilet and move on. And this fan base, what we're asking you today, can you move on? 610-632-0975. But we also asked a question about the Philadelphia Eagles last segment that I want to get your reaction to in a second here, Mike, about if you are comfortable, if you're happy even, that it seems like the rest of the NFL fan bases, I'm not talking about like other NFL teams, like Sean McVay and Matt Stafford of the Rams, but I'm talking about like the Rams fan base, the Packers fan base, these teams that you beat last year and seem poised to be able to beat again this year. Are you okay with being the hated team in the NFL? We will get some thoughts on that from the text line. I'll get yours, Mike. But I want to let people know we got a couple of cool things coming up on the show today that we have not mentioned yet. So Jeff Kerr of CBS Sports is going to join us coming up at 8:25. Now, he does work with both the Phillies and the Eagles. So we will be able to ask him about both what happened with that Phillies series and what's going to happen as we are a week away from the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Dallas Cowboys. And then this one's really cool. Coming up at 9 o'clock, we are going to talk to Todd Whitten. And if you know who Todd Whitten is right now, you're probably lying, but here's why you should. He is the head coach of the Tarleton State football team. And with Darius Cooper making the roster, he's going to give us some time as they prepare to play Army to talk about a guy going undrafted but being signed out of his program and then making the defending Super Bowl champion 53-man roster. So I think it'll give us some great information on a kid that has become a big story here in this town. So some good stuff still to come that will hopefully make you forget, at least for a minute, about what we watched the last 3 days up in New York. Now, that question, Mike, on the Eagles with the hatred from other fan bases. Are you pro that? Are you going to fight against it because you don't feel like it's fair criticism of the team? Where do you stand?
I understand that these unwritten rules, but at some point evolution happens. And if the Eagles are the one, they would be the one, right? Because everyone will now follow suit. You've done it, and now we'll do it, which means now teams won't try to, hey, we're going to do this. If you put a good player out there, everyone's looking for talent, and when the best team in the league says, you have a talented player, we want that player, and if you're not going to dot your I's and cross your T's, we might take them. You've put everybody on notice. Welcome aboard, big boys. It's evolution, it's called. In the sports world where everyone's trying to get one up on everybody, and the Eagles have been the masters of it, yeah. Chess, not checkers, buddy.
Yeah.
Checkmate.
But here's the thing, right? It wasn't because we know the reaction now on social media. When Howie makes a trade, when the Eagles acquire a player, fans of every team around the NFL are, how does he keep getting away with this?
Not only fans, players.
Yeah.
There are actual players in the league. You know, Micah Parsons has said it. Other active players. How do teams keep dealing with them? Like, this is, like, widely known now.
But yesterday was not complimentary of Howie Roseman from the Rams fan base and what I saw on social media. Yesterday was Howie's a scumbag, Howie's terrible, he's breaking these rules, they should not allow him to do this type of stuff. It wasn't just, man, this guy is good, tip your cap. It took a little bit more of a hate just to hate type of mentality. At least that's how I read it. So if that's what we get this year, where it's just like, I don't know, the same thing as banning the tush push, where my argument on that always was, listen, they have no argument against it. They just don't like your team, and they're trying to take it away. Like, that's what I think we're going to see more of. And I wonder if that's going to drive Eagles fans insane or if that's going to fire us up even more. Because for me, I love when people hate me for no reason.
I'm not there yet, but it's the mantra of everything. No one likes us, we don't care. And that's the thing of all that. All these teams, like, you get to a point, the Eagles, this is why this season's very intriguing, which I feel like oddly doesn't have the buzz you would think of a team like coming off the Super Bowl. It's almost like, hey, the season's here, and it's like, you know, you want for the preseason to get here, then those preseason games are just so meh.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see how jacked up people get for this, but You won in 17. You got back in 22. You lost. You win last year. This season here puts your organization potentially on the next tier.
Yes.
Like you are on the precipice of that tier right now with the 17 last year being there of one of these upper echelons. You could put yourself on that next tier
now,
of teams.
We don't say the D word on this show, even though we've brought up the potential of winning back-to-back and what that could cause us to call this organization dynasty. But don't tell Andrew and John I said that when they come back from vacation. We're not there for that conversation yet, but yes, if they do what we expect them to do again this year, that could be what we're looking at. So, Haley, we have a text on this Eagles question about the hatred from other NFL fan bases. What do we have?
Jeff texts in from Pennsylvania, and he says, in my 32 years of being an Eagles fan, I've never seen a time period where the Eagles and Eagles fans weren't criticized for everything by the masses. Throwing batteries at Santa is still getting brought up. I think he meant maybe snowballs. Although it was justified. This doesn't feel new to me, all the criticism.
Yeah. Here's the thing. It's coming from a different place. I need people to understand this. It's not, that fan base I hate. I think those people are detestable. And in some cases in the past, when we know about the 700 level and the vet and everything like that. Come on. There are points where we earned that reputation. There are points where that reputation was not earned. But this is not because Eagles fans are, quote-unquote, obnoxious in the view of other people. This is because the team is good. They're not coming after you. They're not saying, you threw snowballs at Santa Claus. They're saying your GM is a bad person and taking advantage of other people because they're so tired of him whooping their ass.
Generally, anger at someone else is manifested by being angry at your own situation.
Yes.
So they are angry that their team doesn't have the foresight to make such a shrewd type of move, and now you're saying it's because our team made a mistake, I'm now taking it out on you. The Eagles, look, right now, there was an interesting part about this. There was a time, now I've been doing this for a while, there was a time where Howie Roseman was the most despised sports figure in the city, and there was no number two. Like, I couldn't come up with a number two. You would do a list. Who's been out? They hated the man.
Yeah.
And now, league-wide, it is universal that he's running circles around people. That's what has these people mad.
Yes. And Eagles fans, I think you should embrace that. I don't think you should give the time and your breath to trying to argue with these people because they're not trying to make a rational argument. And in some cases, they don't believe the criticisms that they're going to throw the way of the Philadelphia Eagles this year. But with that idea that you are the top dog comes everybody kind of hating your guts.
Who's hated most right now? It used to be Howie Roseman. It's not anymore.
Yeah.
Who do you got?
As far as the city,
right now,
who's
who's the
number
guy
1 hate?
right now? The Phillies are ticking everybody. The Sixers are about as off the map as you can get. The Flyers haven't made the playoffs. The Eagles are obviously on top of the world, but is there a most hated right now?
I'm not a big hate guy, but I'll come up with somebody on the other side. So I will tell you my most hated right now in the city as we come back. And we're going to look at a little bit with the young players conversation with the Phillies that we've been meaning to get into. Also, hey, we got another Wendy's gift card to give away before the end of the 7 o'clock hour. So a lot of great stuff still coming your way here on Kincade Salciunas. I'm Connor Thomas alongside Mike Gill, Haley Taylor Simon on the board. We're back for more after this here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
10 straight losses at Citi Field. I'm Haley Taylor Simon with your Fanatic Sports Update. This update is brought to you by Wendy's. Wendy's Breakfast, 2 for $3, Biggie Bundles. Let's you.
Sunny days and ocean blue. Waves are calling me and you. Surfboard ready, time to ride. Feel the freedom, feel the tide. Summer on the beach, oh yeah. Walking on the sand, no care. Surfing in the sun, so free. Just the beach, the waves and me. Yeah, 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 yeah. Sunny days and ocean blue. Waves are calling me and you. Surfboard ready, time.
All right, about to head into the 8 o'clock hour here on Kincade Salciunas. I'm Connor Thomas alongside Mike Gill. We're filling in for John and Andrew. They're on their Labor Day vacation, so both down the shore. Must be nice. Mike Gill comes from down the shore and trades places with him to go ahead and sit in. So it'll be you and I today and tomorrow. That'll be fun. And Haley Taylor Simon on the board for us today. So everyone will be back in their normal spots on Tuesday to get ready for football season to be
That's
rolling.
the time. You know, they're playing the Cowboys on Thursday night. You know those banner nights don't generally go well. I don't want to put that in the ether, but
Yeah.
just saying.
Yeah.
Those
I
nights
don't
are
know.
not usually good results.
And they won the last one. It wasn't pretty, but they won the last one. I remember sitting up there watching Nick Foles catch another pass, thinking, is this real life?
I remember famously Reggie White got his number retired on a Monday night against the Seahawks. They lost 42-0.
Yeah.
Just, you know.
Why do you got to put that out there in the universe? Come on, man. You were all positive on the Phillies, and now you're doing this with Eagles Cowboys?
I don't know what made me think of that as I sat down. I was like, the whole banner thing and that. I was like, they don't usually go that well.
You know what? Just because of that, I need to make the people happy because you might be scaring some people with the potential of the Eagles losing to the Cowboys week 1. Give me a number, Mike, between 1 and 10.
7.
All right, 7 it is. The 7th person on our text line at 610-632-0975 who texts the word, we'll go Frosty. 610-632-0975. The 7th person who texts Frosty will win our next $50 Wendy's gift card. Wendy's has breakfast biscuits for just $1, including the Honey Buddy. Get yours today and start your day off right. Got to be Wendy's. Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. Limit 5 qualifying items per transaction. Not valid in a combo while supplies last. Just had some of the potato wedges during the last break.
Over there.
Yeah, there's a little breakfast burger sitting here right now that I'll be tearing into next break. But hey, duty calls. We gotta be putting these takes out, you know. And with what happened with the Philadelphia Phillies, there's no time for burgers during the show today. We'll do it even as good as Wendy's burgers are during breaks. Now, I want to give you the time to talk a little bit about this idea with the young players because you've mentioned Nolan McLean, who threw for the Mets last night in just his 3rd major league start and dominated Phillies hitters. And you've brought up Andrew Painter and Justin Crawford and what the Phillies are doing. So what do you think the Phillies should do right now with those young guys?
You know, the Crawford one's really tough, Connor, because he's obviously done everything you've asked of him to do. His numbers suggest, if you were just going off numbers and say, hey, look, we have a problem in the outfield. We have a solution. The question I would have is, because there's a lot of people who message and say, why not Crawford? I'm sure everybody wants to know. How do you fit him into this team at this point? Did they handle this wrong? Should they have brought him up earlier? Should, like, when they, had Rojas playing that whole time? The problem that you have with Crawford, as I kind of see it, and we'll see if anybody agrees, disagrees, thinks I'm off my rocker here. Does he deserve to be up here and play? Sure, if you really believe in him. Do they not believe in him? Do they not think that he could help this team? What would he add that does help this team? That's a big question for me because they have said when he plays, he has to play a lot.
Yes.
Where is he playing a lot? He is left-handed. Keep that in mind. This team is very left-handed. That's a problem. You're going to put him in center field and play him every single day. You could do that. You could platoon Marsh and Bader in left field. Do you want to say I traded for a guy that I'm playing like twice a week? You could platoon Kepler and Castellanos in right field and just say, Crawford, you're playing center. I don't think this team is bold enough to do something that big at this stage, but should they have thought about that and approach it? The problems you have is, you really going to tell Nick Castellanos you're in a straight platoon? I don't think they're willing and ready to do that. I think they're easing into it, but I think it's too late in the game just to. So the whole Crawford thing, I think, has been a little bit mishandled.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. Looking at where we're at now, I had faith that they were doing this at some point this year, and now I do not have faith that they're going to call him up at any point. And I understood the idea of he's got to play every day, and it's tough to just hand the center field or left field position over to a young guy like that with a World Series expectation heaped on this season. But at this point, it's hard to look at it and say they haven't mismanaged it. Now, with your point on potentially calling him up and doing something and changing a lot of stuff in the outfield, and not saying that you were like fully advocating for that, but with that being a potential option, I have the devil on one shoulder and the angel on the other. And the devil's in my ear saying, you just lost to the New York freaking Mets 3 times in a row. Embarrassing fashion. You hated watching that, Connor. You hated everything about that series. You hate that team. You won't stand for this anymore. The Phillies need to do something. Anything's on the table. I don't care if you have to play Bryce Harper in right field again, Trey Turner in center field, Kyle Schwarber play. Anything's on the table. This is dire straits for the Philadelphia Phillies. Then the angel on the shoulder on the other side is saying, whoa, 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 whoa. If you do something dramatic right now, that's when people start to panic.
Well, I agree with what you're saying to this extent, though. You have to look at what's going on around you. You don't exist in a vacuum. Everybody else is improving. What happened with the Red Sox? They needed a life infusion. They went out and got Roman Anthony. Not in trade. They called him up.
Yeah.
Dude's been the best player on their team, right? Mm-hmm. When the Mets needed something in their pitching staff, they went to their minor leagues and said, look, it's your time. We need help. You're the guy. The Phillies have Andrew Painter sitting there. Now, we could debate whether Painter is ready.
Because his numbers are not good in AAA this year.
His numbers do not suggest that he deserves this call-up. You're trotting Taijuan Walker out there in the midst of a pennant race right now, and you're saying to Taijuan Walker, who you have yo-yoed all over the place, and you're telling him, you need to prevent this from a sweep.
Yeah.
You kidding me? That's the guy that you're riding this. And he's obviously, look, Taijuan, I think, has turned his season around in terms of where he was last year to this year. Does anybody think that he's going to throw a pitch in a playoff game?
Maybe out of the bullpen, depending on how bad this situation gets out there. If Kerkering gives up basically 50% of his inherited runners, if Alvarado is not available, which he is not.
They have already told us that they don't trust Walker as a bullpen. I think Walker, it's been a nice story and anything, and I actually think that the team did him wrong, but when they moved him to the bullpen, they gave him no role. You had an $18 million arm. At least see if he could handle some role. They gave him no opportunity to give them any confidence. And then they yo-yoed him back to the rotation, and here he is, and he's actually done a decent job, but we know he's not starting a playoff game. So you have now lost Zach Wheeler.
Yeah.
And I wonder if a lot of this is, look, the Wheeler thing, they played really well out of that. The enormity for Christopher Sanchez, I talked about this on Sunday when I was on 2 weeks ago, is the enormity for Christopher Sanchez. I'm the guy now. You know what he makes? $2 million.
Yeah.
$2 million is the ace of your staff. The enormity of that for him. By the way, he signed to like 2030 for like a very, very low number. So this guy came out of nowhere for them. They traded some random third baseman to get him. You're lucky this guy has turned into what he has turned into, but now the enormity of that, you're the guy. It almost looked like it all kind of came like, I'm the guy now pitching at Citi Field.
Yeah.
This whole thing. So, like, they need something different. They need a little something, infusion of life. They've went out and made these minor trades, but they have gotten nothing from their system where all these other teams, they're all getting that little extra life that the Phillies are not getting.
You're listening to 97.5 The Fanatic, WPEN and WPEN HD1, Burlington, Philadelphia, Beasley Media Group station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studios, powering possibilities. Now, my argument to the contrary of that would be you have Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, Trey Turner, JT Realmuto, Nick Castellanos. These guys getting paid heavily to be the leaders on this team. And while I'm not normally, right, I'm not hey, you're getting paid this money, you figure it out. No excuses. Like, there are sometimes reasons that have nuance when it comes to guys struggling with production. But if this team, with the age that they have, with the experience that they have, with the resume that they've built over these past couple of seasons, I know it doesn't include a World Series, but it does include an NL pennant and within one win of another one. If they need 22-year-old Justin Crawford to come up, and that's what they need in order to be the team we expect them to be, they're already beat. If they need Andrew Painter to come up to help this rotation,
well, that's where
they're already beat.
That's where I'm toward, Connor, because I don't know where Crawford coming up, where we're talking about these other teams getting the infusion of life, I don't know where he comes up and gives that to you. Because realistically, this team needs a guy to hit in the middle of their order. If Crawford comes up, he's hitting ninth.
Right, he doesn't
just adding a guy to hit in the 9 hole. I mean, unless you were so bold that you put him in the 2 hole, which you're not doing, obviously.
But I'm just saying, like, last night before the Mets game, see, now I'm getting ticked off again. Last night before the Mets game, I needed happiness in my life. So I sat down and I watched the full Bryce Harper at bat, Bedlam at the bank, the swing of his life, NLCS 2022 against the Padres. That guy's still on this damn team. So if they're sitting there in the locker room, or if this organization is sitting there and saying, well, they needed an infusion, a shot in the arm, so we're going to go to the kid. We're going to go to Justin Crawford, who has played 0 Major League Baseball games ever, to help what? Lift Trey Turner and Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper and Nick Castellanos and JT Realmuto's performance. Do the job yourself. This is your guys' team. And if they have to turn to the young kid to wake this team up, then that is an indictment on the star players themselves. And I'm not saying that they have to do that, because maybe they will just come out of this themselves, right? Maybe in a week we will feel totally different about this team. But when you bring up that and you see how other teams have done it, I can't accept that with this core of star players, because this is your guys' show. This is your last ride. And you're going to hand the reins of the horse over to some kid who has not done it before, and that's what you need? That's you not being prepared enough.
You're right about that, but I will say this. At some point, the dynamic of this team has to be shaken up.
Yeah.
Where? Okay, it's not going to be Harper. Is it going to be Stott? It's not going to be Turner. It's going to be Bohm. You know, the outfield situation has been a mess. You have to at some point, though. When are you going to get this influx of new pieces? Because the pieces that you have all been here through the runs, and they're not getting it done. So at some point, you need to change the deck of cards, because I keep getting dealt the same hand, because as this team gets older, somewhere along the line, they need to get that influx. Is it Aiden Miller? Is it Justin Crawford? And quite frankly, other than those two names, there is nobody else that's ready to help this team out. So they better hope that something changes. And I don't see where that comes from. And now your pitching, which was your strong suit, has taken. I know this pitching staff is pretty good. We couldn't even tell you right now, August 28th, who's pitching game 2 of a playoff series? Nobody has an answer.
No clue.
So this great pitching staff that they have is now, look, this Wheeler thing is a major, major hit.
Here's your problem. You're down in AC all the time, man, right? You know what happens when you're sitting at the roulette table and they wave their arm over the board?
No more bets.
That's where we're at. So you may not like the cards you have, but we are past the point of being able to place any more bets. We got what we got. For better or worse, this is mainly your Phillies team. So coming up next, we have today's headlines with Haley Taylor-Simon. So we'll get a little bit away from the angst of Phillies fandom right now. But before we do that, I want to dive deeper into it. We'll check our text line and see what the folks are saying. I'm Connor Thomas. That's Mike Gill. Haley on the board. We're filling in for John and Andrew here on Kincade Salciunas. 97.5 The Fanatic.
Philadelphia Union Soccer. Be sure to tune in.
Waves are calling me and you. Surfboard ready, time to ride. Feel the freedom, feel the tide. Summer on the beach. calling me and you. Surfboard ready, time to ride. Feel the freedom, feel the tide. Summer on the beach, oh yeah. Walking on the sand, no care. Surfing in the sun, so free. Just the beach, the waves and me. Yeah, 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 yeah. Sunny days and ocean blue. Waves are calling me and you. Surfboard ready, time to ride. Feel the freedom, feel the tide. Summer on the beach, oh yeah. Walking on the sand, no care. Surfing in the sun, so free. Just the beach, the waves and me. Yeah, 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 yeah. Sunny days and ocean blue. Waves are calling me and you. Surfboard ready, time to ride. Feel the freedom, feel the tide. Summer on the beach, oh yeah. Walking on the sand, no care. Surfing in the sun, so free. Just the beach, the waves and me. Yeah, 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 yeah. Sunny days and ocean blue. Waves are calling me and you. Surfboard ready, time to ride. Feel the freedom, feel the tide.
Headlines. Haley running that again today, so we will get to that. Mike, it'll be your first time being a part of today's headlines. So it's a fun little aside that we get to here just for a segment where we cover some other stuff going on because there's only so many hours that you can spend screaming about the Philadelphia Phillies. Now, I got more of them in me, so don't think I'm stopping anytime soon, folks. They are very much on the bleep list today.
Yeah.
So we're not stopping with the Phillies conversation. Before we get to headlines, I do want to get another text on what's going on with the Phils, their miserable performance. Where are you at? Kyle Schwarber says they're not phased. Larry Boa says he's confident in the team still. I don't sense confidence for this fan base, not one bit. What are the people saying, Haley?
This is from Tyler, and Tyler texts in and says the older guys aren't doing a damn thing. The Phillies bats go cold every year. Shake it up. This core hasn't done anything in 3 years.
Okay, and I get it. Now, it's not totally true. Because if you look back at the 2023 postseason, Nick Castellanos turned into Reggie Jackson for a divisional round series
That
against
was
a really good opponent. Yeah. 2022, Bryce Harper.
But he was, as hot as he was in that series, he was even worse in the Arizona series.
Exactly. But like Bryce Harper hit a home run to send you to the World Series. Kyle Schwarber has hit big-time home runs in the postseason. So while they haven't been consistent enough, to say they haven't done anything is not fair. Like, this team has guys with resumes. The resumes just seem to, you know how you have a gap in your resume and employers will ask you about that? This would be like if you had a whole hiring class, like you had to bring in 10 new employees. And they all had the same, 2-year gap on their resume. Wait. All of you guys didn't work at the same time? That's what the Philadelphia Phillies lineup is. It doesn't mean they haven't done anything. It means that when they're not doing something, they're all not doing something.
It is quite crazy how they seemingly have pockets of major times where multiple key guys are all off at the same time. Like Hoskins was ridiculously clutch. He wasn't like hot. He was just clutch because I don't think he hit like 450 in the series. He just had some big moments. And that's what this team has been lacking is, yes, I'm scuffling. I am struggling. But in this moment, I'm there to pick up everybody and myself, even though I haven't been playing well. I'm here. Like, Castellanos goes crazy, crazy, crazy hot, and then he goes like 1 for 40, it felt like, in that series. And that is where I feel like the people say, okay, I know you can maybe be hot for a series. The hard part is, this is why the division is such a big deal. To be hot, like you need to be, to win the wild card round, the division round, championship round, and the world, eventually you're going, that hot streak runs out. So you have to limit as many series as you can. And right now, after last night, you are now in the wild card round. That's where this is a big deal.
Yeah, it certainly is. Now, another big deal is today's headlines, and let's go to Haley Taylor Simon for that.
Today's headlines with Haley Taylor Simon.
All right, guys, and today's headlines is brought to you by Lundy Law. For over 70 years, Lundy Law has been fighting for injured people. If you need them, remember the name Lundy Law. Your injury lawyers, visit lundylaw.com. That's lundylaw.com.
What do we have?
So we have a really interesting set of questions that were asked to players on the Kansas City Chiefs, but I'm going to play it for you, and then I'm going to ask you guys a question.
I bought my house outright.
You bought your house outright?
Yeah. And I'm not a flexer, but I bought my mama a crib, and it got a pool in the backyard and everything.
So by those answers, they were asked, what did you buy with the NFL money that you make? So I want to ask you, CT18 and Mike Gill, if you made NFL money, is there something specific that you would buy for yourself or a loved one?
I don't even know. I live such a simple life. I honestly don't even know what I would do with that type of money. Mike, do you have anything off the top of your head why I ponder
I
this?
also live a very simple life. However, there's a couple things that come to mind. Number one, I said the other day, the Field of Dreams game.
Yeah.
I would go to the field. If I gave you 2 tickets and I said you can go to the Field of Dreams or the Super Bowl, I'm going to Field of Dreams. I think an event like those, I went to London for the Phillies. That was one of the coolest sports experiences I've ever had. I look to spend this money on sports experiences. Yeah. I love sports experiences. So I'm buying like Field of Dreams. If they play in London, I tried to go to Brazil. I have a job that kind of got in the way of things. Those are the type of things I would spend my money on. And maybe a little beach bungalow. I don't need those big monstrosities that all these people keep building. I want the little guy that just gets the job done.
I want the monstrosity. I want a beach house. I want it big. I want it fancy. That's probably where I would go. What else do we have, Haley?
No surprise on that one, CT. So we're going to go to school. School has started up again. So I hope everybody had a good first day of school. But for this professor, class was canceled. Take a listen as to why.
But Taylor and Travis just got engaged. Due to this information, I can't focus. You all can't focus. Class is canceled. Get out of here.
Yeah, so class was canceled due to the news of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce.
Where was this school?
Yeah, right.
I don't know where the school was. It was a university, but do you think that's a little bit too extreme?
Was it like the University of Cincinnati where Travis went?
It wasn't that.
Missouri, somewhere where the Chiefs play?
I don't care. It could be Taylor Swift University. This is still dumb. You're in class. You got to go to class. I'm sorry. You don't get off because 2 celebrities got engaged.
There's a Taylor Swift, Airbnb down the shore that you can, rent out and have Taylor Swift parties.
I'm good.
Pass. It would be, listen, if I was in that class, I'm absolutely ecstatic. I'm pro canceling class.
Sure.
I think you should cancel class on a whim if you're a professor. But
I was in college when OJ happened, and when the Bronco, we got canceled. They didn't cancel the class, but they put the chase on it. We just watched it.
Yeah.
Seems like West Virginia.
But this that's too much for me. All right. Great job, Haley, there with today's headlines. Appreciate that very much. Coming up next, we're going to talk to Jeff Kerr of CBS Sports. He's got intel on both the Phillies and the Eagles, so we're going to start out with some conversation about the series with the Mets, but then we're going to get into some happier stuff with him as well as we continue along here in the 8 o'clock hour. I'm Connor Thomas, in for Andrew Salciunas, Mike Gill, in for John Kincade. Haley, who you just heard there doing today's headlines on the board. And we're back after this here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Sunny days and ocean blue. Waves are calling me and you. Surfboard ready, time to ride. Feel the freedom, feel the tide. Summer on the beach, oh yeah. Walking on the sand, no care. Surfing in the sun. Sunny days and ocean blue. Waves are calling me and you. Surfboard ready, time to ride. Feel the freedom, feel the tide. Summer on the beach, oh yeah. Walking on the sand, no care. Surfing in the sun. Sunny days and ocean blue. Waves are calling me and you. Surfboard ready, time to ride. Feel the freedom, feel the tide. Summer on the beach, oh yeah. Walking on the sand, no care. Surfing in the sun. Sunny days and ocean blue. Waves are calling me and you. Surfboard ready, time to ride. Feel the freedom, feel the tide. Summer on the beach, oh yeah. Walking on the sand, no care. Surfing in the sun. Sunny days and ocean blue. Waves are calling me and you. Surfboard ready, time to ride. Feel the freedom, feel the tide. Summer on the beach, oh yeah. Walking on the sand, no care. Surfing in the sun. Sunny days and ocean blue. Waves are calling me and you. tide. Summer on the beach, oh yeah, walking on the sand, no care.
For injury lawyers, visit lundylaw.com.
That's
5 The Fanatic and 97.5 thefanatic.com.
Kincade and Salciunas.
Don't forget, later on this hour, we have another Wendy's gift card to give away, so stay tuned for that. You also got to stay tuned for something big coming up here on the Fanatic. Unfiltered. The inaugural live broadcast coming your way soon. So the inaugural live broadcast of Unfiltered with Ricky Bo, Bill Colarulo, and Silvana Keller, presented by Bet Parks, will be Thursday, September 4th at Chickies and Pete's in South Philly from 2 to 6 p.m. We'll get you ready for the Birds home opener from the center of all the action. The first 300 fans get a Kelly Green Birds rally towel, courtesy of our friends at Great Railing. Brought to you by Bet Parks Online Casino and Sportsbook. You bet. Bet Parks. Click events at 975thefanatic.com for all the info. We are a week away from that. And because we are a week away from the Philadelphia Eagles opener, and also because the Phillies are basically crushing everybody's dreams, we go to the guy who does it all. Jeff Kerr of CBS Sports joins us now on the Comcast Business Hotline. Jeff, how you doing this morning?
Hey, Connor, I'm a week away from leaving for Philadelphia now because of the SEPTA stuff.
Yeah, I don't blame you on that. Traffic is going to be tough, and traffic on the base pass was tough up in New York for the Philadelphia Phillies. So we are going to get to the Eagles, but I want to start with your reaction to the Phillies-Mets debacle that we saw over the last 3 nights. In how bad of a spot is this team, or do you believe what Kyle Schwarber had to say about this doesn't phase us, we're going to bounce back?
You know, it's tough because I thought this team just needed to take one game out there. They didn't need to win the series. But they didn't need to get swept either. Now you're giving the Mets a reason to believe again. And I just didn't like the body language of this team throughout this series, from Alec Boehm with the Paramount microphone to Christopher Sanchez kicking stuff in the dugout. That's not him. To Jesus Luzardo. And again, I thought the Elms had a great game on Tuesday night, but you can't act like that when you're in the middle of a division race playing that team at Citi Field. We talk about Citizens Bank Park being the ultimate fan advantage, right? I think the Mets fans and the Mets got into the Phillies' head out the series, and there's just ghosts they're chasing at Citi Field right now, but the Phillies still get to play this team 4 more times at home. They still have a 4-game lead with 29 to play. It's not over by any stretch, but the Phillies still control their own destiny here.
Jeff, you tweeted this out last night. The Phillies are 3 for 22 with runners in scoring position. The Mets are 21 for 37. Is that an anomaly? Is this another whole thing that kind of adds to the house of horrors there? You look at the Mets going 21 for 37. Can I really anticipate that happens again if they meet up?
I don't think so. I mean, look, they went 11 for 19 on Monday, and I'm like, okay, this isn't going to continue. And then they go 5 for 10. So, look, the Mets they just have a different approach to baseball than the Phillies do. The Phillies are trying to beat you with the long ball. They're trying to get you with the big swing. They're chasing at the first pitch. The Mets just have solid at-bats and just let an opposing pitcher beat themselves, and that's what they were able to do. They know they can't hit home runs at Citi Field. I think I only remember the Mets hitting like 1 or 2 home runs in that entire series. And, you know, it's already a blur, to be honest with you. But it's just, I like the Mets' approach at the plate, especially when they're home. I don't see it go 21-36 again. That's just insane. But, you know, the Phillies, they tend to do this a lot, go 3 for 22 with runners in scoring position, especially against teams that know how to beat them with a breaking ball, with a low outside pitch. It's just, I thought the Phillies just pressed a lot during this series.
Yeah, it's hard not to see that when you're watching the games. And I want to open up the possibility of something else here, because the fan base, this is a day for overreaction, and I will not stop them for that. But if we look at just the baseball aspect of it, no ghosts, no curse, no building issues, no microphones, are the Mets just a team that the Phillies don't match up well against? Could it be that simple?
I think it is. Honestly, like, look, I know Keith Hernandez. I overheard him the other night calling the Phillies overrated, and I'm thinking to myself, hold on a second, Keith. Like, your team can't beat anybody, but you could beat the Phillies, right? So the Mets are one of the worst teams in baseball going into that series, and I just think they know how to beat the Phillies. They know their approach. They know their pitchers well. They're just a well-disciplined baseball team when it comes to playing the Phillies. I just think they're a bad matchup for them, and I thought that was the case last year in the NLDS, but I thought the Phillies would overcome that because of their pitching. But, I mean, if you look at the Phillies' bullpen ERA against the Mets, it's unbelievably high for a lot of those guys that you can rely on. And look, Connor, I agree with you. I know it's their reaction. I know a lot of takes right now are probably going to stick with this team, but you got to remember something. There's a reason why the Mets are 4 games behind right now. It's actually incredible the Phillies went 0-6 in 4-game lead tonight.
Jeff Kerr, CBS Sports, with us here. CBS 3 covers the Phillies. Jeff, so I want to get your take on this because you said there's a reason why the Mets are 4 games behind. They were 7 at. But the Mets add a little infusion of life. Now, you cover the Eagles. You cover the Phillies. You also get to see the Iron Pigs a lot out there. Did the Phillies need an infusion of life? The Mets had a pitcher last night who dominated. We've seen the Red Sox. They brought up Roman Anthony. He has given them an infusion of life. Have the Phillies misplayed this, their prospects? Is that something that as you watch that kid mow you down last night that the Phillies have lacked? And have they misplayed this whole situation with both Crawford and possibly Painter?
I definitely think they misplayed it with Painter because they put that July-ish timetable on him, which really wasn't fair for a guy coming off Tommy John surgery. And I've been told this since January. The last thing that comes back when you recover from Tommy John is the command. Your velocity is going to be there. His velocity has been there. The durability's coming back with Painter, but the command is still hit or miss. And Painter's been pitching better. I actually think he's been a little more relaxed since the July timetable has passed. So I thought they mishandled that. Crawford, I honestly thought he'd be up by now, and I kind of thought that since last August, but that was more the outfield situation. But when you trade for Harrison Bader, and I thought Bader would be playing every day. He hasn't. I think Bader's fine for this team, but Brandon Marsh is kind of the reason why Justin Crawford has still been down because he's been hitting, but now Marsh isn't hitting at the clip he was from May 1st till about August 15th. So, do you bring Justin Crawford up? I think you do, but you have to play him every day. If you don't play him every day, there's no point in bringing him up.
And that'll be something we'll keep an eye on as we get closer to September call-ups as well. Now, speaking of things in September, let's put a smile on everybody's face. Let's talk some birds. So, two-part question for you here when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles. First, they claim offensive lineman Willie Lampkin yesterday off the waived injury designation from the Rams, made him available, so the Eagles got him. I saw some commentary on social media saying that that's dirty pool by Howie Roseman, claiming a player that was left out there due to injury. Is that something around the NFL that there's a stigma against?
I don't know if there's a stigma against. I mean, you waive the guy, he's available, right? It's if you didn't want to waive the guy. I mean, I know the Chiefs did this with a player. I won't say the player's name, but they pretty much what they did was they put the guy on injured reserve that was an undrafted free agent and didn't waive him. So you have a right to do that too. And I don't know why the Rams didn't think of it. I guess they thought he'd go unclaimed. Look, I don't think there's no written rule against what Howie Roseman did. Howie Roseman saw a player available and said, you know what, if he's injured, he's injured. We'll take him and we'll develop him. I think it's going to work out well for the Eagles putting Lampkin with Jeff Stoutland, but I didn't think of anything wrong with it at the time. I'm like, look, you subject these guys to waivers. This is kind of the risk you're taking.
So the follow-up to that, are the Eagles just the team that is going to become the most hated team, everything they do in the NFL with their recent success?
Oh yeah. I mean, look, I'll just say this. I was at the CBS up front a couple of weeks ago, and I was talking to the NFL Today media town, and a lot of the talk about was the tush push. And, multiple people told me there, they thought they didn't get rid of it because it would have been a really bad look by the NFL to ban the play that the Super Bowl champions won with. And I didn't disagree with them on that because it is a bad look for the NFL. It's a bad look for NFL teams. And, yeah, I just don't think people like that. The Eagles win a lot of games. They win it their way, right? How many times on your show, Connor, Kincade. Bill Calrule's never got a chance to talk about it yet. But how many times that it was the Eagles had, they won, but Jalen Hurts had 67 net yards passing, and you're not going to win like that. Well, they won like that, and it kind of broke the NFL mold a bit. You're going back to that old school football. They were the first team to win a championship that had more rushing yards than passing yards since the 1978 Pittsburgh Steelers. So, yeah, I just don't think people like the way the NFL's trending, but you see teams going toward that route. When you see a Saquon Barkley do as well as he did, a Derrick Henry do as well as he did. There's a reason why the Eagles and Ravens are good every year. It's because they can run the football and they have good offensive lines, and nothing's really stopping them.
Jeff, we'll get you out on this. Epps is back. Marcus Epps. We know Philadelphia fans love reunions. He's back. Was on that team in 2022, went to the Super Bowl, ended up signing with Vegas, tore his ACL, cut by the Patriots. Is this a guy they want to play, or is he more veteran presence because they're not comfortable with what they have?
I think they really like Tristan McCollum. I just think it was an opportunity to get Marcus Epps back in that building. And look, I think this has a lot to do with I don't want to say they don't trust Sidney Brown. I just don't think they know what Sidney Brown's going to give them. If it's a downhill play, Sidney Brown's going to be great for them. But if it's in coverage, you just don't know. Marcus Epps is able to fill that void. Who knows if Andrew Akuba and his injuries right now. So, I like the Marcus Epps signing. I think it was a good reunion for them. Kind of bummed that it was at the expense of Tristan McCollum, who's one of the good dudes in that locker room, who I hope can return back to the practice squad and be a part of this, but I wouldn't blame him if he tried to seek an active roster spot somewhere else. But, yeah, the Marcus Epps signing is good for them. Remember, guys, he started on that Super Bowl team, so there's definitely some value there.
Well, appreciate it. There's value always in talking to you, Jeff. Thank you for the information on both the Phillies and the Birds, and we'll be talking to you down the line as we get even closer to football season. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, sounds great. Thanks, Connor. Thanks, Mike.
There he is. Jeff Kerr, CBS Sports, does a great job covering both Phillies and Eagles and talking football and baseball in this town.
Dude's busy.
Yeah, always is. Hey, man, everybody is this time of year in the city. It's about to be the busy time of the sports calendar. If the baseball team could start winning, we might have something cooking. Coming up next, we're going to react to what Jeff had to say there on both the Phillies and the Eagles. We're going to get back to the text line. A lot of stuff to look at. And where do both of those teams that we just talked to Jeff Kerr about go from here? What is the roadmap for the next week or couple weeks for the Eagles and the Phillies? We'll discuss next here. It's Kincade Salciunas, Connor Thomas, Mike Gill, in for John and Andrew. Back after this here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now, a Birds Insider Update on 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
I'm Haley Taylor Simon here with your Birds Insider Update. We're 1 week away from the Eagles season opener at home against the Cowboys. The Eagles brought back safety Marcus Epps, who missed all last year while out with an ACL, and he was cut by the Patriots. Landon Dickerson was seen at practice yesterday when he just had surgery on his right MCL. Only 2 weeks ago, he's back. Fred Johnson spoke about the trade that sent him back to Philadelphia. I heard about the trade, and I was kind of like, hey, if you want to go anywhere else, I would go back to the Eagles. So I was super happy and excited. I told my family, I told my mom, I told my son, and I was just ready to get out here. Anyways, a late release in the Philadelphia Eagles world as the Eagles are waiving guard Trevor Keegan, who won a Super Bowl last season with the Birds during his rookie year. After he was Philadelphia's 5th-round pick, Keegan is expected to be on waivers today. Again, I'm Haley Taylor Simon here with your Birds Insider Update on 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
The summer's here, and you know what that
Sunny days and ocean blue. Waves are calling me and you. Surfboard ready, time to ride. Feel the freedom, feel the tide. Summer on the beach, oh yeah. Walking on the sand, no care. Surfing in the sun. ocean blue. Waves are calling me and you. Surfboard ready, time to ride. Feel the freedom, feel the tide. Summer on the beach, oh yeah, walking on the sand, no care, surfing in the sun, so free, just the beach, the waves and me. Yeah, 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 yeah. Sunny days and ocean blue. Waves are calling me and you. Surfboard ready, time to ride. Feel the freedom, feel the tide. Summer on the beach, oh yeah, walking on the sand, no care, surfing in the sun, so free, just the beach, the waves and me. Yeah, 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 yeah. Sunny days and ocean blue. Waves are calling me and you. Surfboard ready.
And I know this is a conversation, right, for people who cover the team and not so much the fan base today. And it's not because I hold one in higher regard than the other. I don't want people to hear that and think, oh, well, Connor only trusts the reporters. He doesn't want to listen to the fans. No, listen, just hear what I'm saying here. Because as a fan, your reaction to that Mets series should be burn the team to the ground. Like, absolute just riot for what you saw. It was embarrassing. But there is part of it where you can ask the question, as I did with Jeff Kerr there, where is this a matchup thing? Because the Phillies do play other teams well, other really good baseball teams well. And the mentality clearly was not right for that series against the Mets. But I wonder if it's just, for some reason, the way that they approach the game of baseball goes completely anti the way the Phillies approach the game of baseball. And it's just not a good spot for them. Now, that is not an acceptable answer, right? Because if that is the case, fix it. They are an opponent that I believe will be in the postseason.
Let me throw a wrinkle question in for you.
Okay.
This team has struggled with the same core, essentially.
Yeah.
Harper is here for, what, 5 more years?
Yeah, probably more than that.
Turner, I'm going to be
Long
old
haul.
and gray by the time he'll still be playing here.
Yeah.
Is it a home run that you have to bring back Schwarber, Suarez, Real Muto, or do you have to think about, even though I really want to bring these guys back, I have to do something to change something. I can't keep the same guys, even though, like, it always makes me laugh when Schwarber goes onto these hot streaks and everyone's like, you got to sign him now. I don't see anybody saying to go sign him when he's 0 for his last 20, striking out and not doing anything. I'm not saying I don't want to sign Schwarber. I love Schwarber. I would love to see him back. But is there a part of anybody that thinks, while you have the opportunity, you need to try to change the furniture?
Yeah, just go as blank slate as you possibly
because
can.
You can't get rid of Harper. You can't get rid of Turner. Nola is here for the long haul. That's going to be a big problem, right?
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah, so I was thinking about that, like, as you're watching this team struggle, and then, Schwarber's struggling, and he's hot, then he struggles. But he's one guy that I think everybody wants to bring back. Real Muto, I don't know what you do with that situation because he's having a good year. He wasn't having a good year. Then he turned it around. He's hitting in the 4-hole right now, which is probably not where you really want him. You have no catcher in the system to take his place. And then Suarez is weird because he's a free agent that no one's really talking about whether they want him back, don't want him back, all that stuff. But those are 3 guys who have been here during this whole thing. that if this thing goes the way we all are talking about it going right now,
Yeah.
do you have to start thinking that even though I really want those guys back, I have to do something to change it?
If you're a first-round exit, whatever the first round is, if it's wild card, if they do get the 2 seed and they're the divisional round after a bye, and that you go out early, it's on the table, 100%. I'm not going to say no to that. Now, I think it'd be silly to let Kyle Schwarber walk for the sake of changing.
I'm not saying I want him gone. I'm just asking, you have to change something. Because Schwarber's the one guy that I think if you said to me, do I pick Harper or Schwarber, which guy would you pick? To say, I want him here for the long haul.
I would still go Bryce Harper.
Yeah?
Yeah, because it plays an important position over there at first base pretty darn well. I know the rundown issues in New York, but he is a high-caliber first baseman that I think is still at his best the better overall hitter. Kyle Schwarber is clearly the better power hitter, but I think Bryce Harper brings more to this baseball.
It's funny because the Phillies are on Sunday Night Baseball this week, and the promo for the Sunday Night Baseball usually says Bryce Harper in the Phillies. This week it says Kyle Schwarber in the Phillies.
Rightfully so. He's an MVP candidate this year, and that's great, and I want both of them. So it's like making you pick between two of your favorite children, right?
It is, and listen, again, I'm not advocating. I don't want people to say, hey, that guy that filled in today wants Kyle Schwarber gone from Philly. I don't want that, but what I do wonder is, do you have to start thinking about some creative way to change? And that's not creative. That's just saying, look, it's going to free up. What kind of contracts is Kyle Schwarber going to get?
Yeah, I mean, probably 3 years, one something.
It's a lot of money that you can start sprinkling around. What kind of contract JT Realmuto going to get?
Now, hopefully that's a little bit of a
Tough one.
lighter one. The market's weird for him because a lot of teams seem to have interest, but how much is that for an aging catcher?
And not to mention, Suarez. I mean, somebody like a team like Baltimore who needs a top-of-the-rotation guy but doesn't want to spend on a top-of-the-rotation
Suarez is gone. I'll just tell you right now. Suarez is not re-signing with the Philadelphia Phillies. I feel that pretty confidently today that Ranger Suarez will not be
Watching this team right now, though, can they afford to lose him? I know we keep talking about the pitching, but if you were to have a second game of the series right now, wouldn't he be your guy?
Could be. He could be. A lot of stuff still to figure out. It's a great question for what this offseason could be. Right now, a lot of people are still focused on that Mets series from the past 3 days, though. What do we have on the text line? And you can join in at 610-632-0975. How phased are you by the Phillies' performance or lack thereof in New York? What do we have, Haley?
So Joe from Jersey is pretty phased, as he says. This feels like the 2018-19 Philly teams, respectively. You assume you're going to make the playoffs, spiral at the end, and miss out because the Phillies shrivel up and die like a pathetic baseball team.
No. Here's where we need to stop, all right? Because I opened the door to overreaction, and in some cases it's okay. They're still going to make the playoffs. They're not falling out of the postseason. I'll tell you that right now. Will they win the division? I don't know. For the first time in about 3 weeks, that feels up in the air. But they're a playoff team. So don't give me that they're 18-19 and they're going to miss the postseason because they just can't find. This team will be in October. But what quality of life will they have when they get to that point? Oof.
Yeah, there's only one team in the wild card race right now outside of it, and that's the Reds. And they've kind of fallen off, too. So it's not like this competitive race for that last wild card spot. If there was a competitive race for the last wild card spot, you could certainly make an argument that if they can, because the Mets had played poorly. They were like 17-35 over a stretch there, and now they're starting to play turn. If the Phillies go on a stretch where they finished the year at 17-35, or somewhere where they're just completely falling off, if there was anybody that was pushing them, like the Mets, I think have separated the wild card from Cincinnati. Let me see here where they're up
what
now.
Is it,
they're
like
up on 4.5.
4.5?
Yeah, so there's a 4.5 game difference between New York and Cincinnati, which means you're up like 7.5 on the Reds.
Yeah, so they're going to make the playoffs, but that's not what this team's goal was. Their goal is to compete for a World Series, and they're not there right now.
Connor Thomas. Phillies play 4 against the Braves, the Brewers, who are the best team in baseball right now. They have a West Coast trip. They still have to go out to play the Dodgers, which that series is possibly for the number 2 seed. They play at Arizona still, and they have 4 games against the Mets.
It ain't
Maybe
getting
that
any
guy's
easier.
onto something, Joe.
It ain't getting easier, but
Joe
I
from
still,
Jersey.
I still don't think they're missing the postseason. Now, let's put a smile on some people's face. We have another Wendy's $50 gift card to give away. I saw Austin Jones, who's going to be producing for Ray Dunn on middays out there, and he had the French toast sticks. So the 5th texter to send French toast. It's that word, French toast, or I guess 2 words, to our text line. Will win our $50 Wendy's gift card, our third one to give away. Wendy's has breakfast biscuits for just $1, including the Honey Buddy. Get yours today. Start your day off right. Got to be Wendy's. Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. Limit 5 qualifying items per transaction. Not valid in a combo while supplies last. Coming up next, we are going to get into that Eagles-Phillies roadmap conversation and a really cool interview. Todd Whitten, who is the head coach of the Tarleton State football team that produced Darius Cooper, the undrafted free agent that made the Eagles wide receiver room, the 53-man starting roster for your defending Super Bowl champions. You're going to get a little bit more information about who Darius Cooper was in college and where this kid came from. It's going to be a really fun time to hear a little bit of background on your newest Eagles. So we'll get into that coming up next and talk to Coach, and also more of your reaction on the phone line and text line. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on Sports Update.
10 straight losses at Citi Field. I'm Haley Taylor Simon with your Fanatic Sports Update. This update is brought to you by Wendy's. Wendy's Breakfast 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles lets you choose your perfect duo from your fave 4, including a sausage or egg and cheese biscuit, small seasoned potatoes, or medium hot coffee at participating U.S. Wendy's. The Phillies fell 6-0 to the Mets last night, getting swept yet again at Citi Field. This marks 10 straight losses for the Phils at Citi Field. Kyle Schwarber spoke after the game, and he basically said that he was unfazed about this loss. Take a listen to Schwarber yourself.
We got to get back. We got another important series ahead of us. So, if we go, we got to go out and take care of business, and we still have another series against these guys, but, we're not looking to that. We're looking to the series ahead.
We're 1 week away from the Eagles season opener at home against the Cowboys. The Eagles were back at practice yesterday, and Landon Dickerson, who just had surgery on his right MCL exactly 2 weeks ago, was participating. This update is also brought to you by Audible. Audible's romance collection has something to satisfy every side of you because you can't be pinned down unless you want to be. Your first love story is free when you sign up for a 30-day free trial at audible.com. I'm Haley Taylor Simon on your home of the best birds coverage on 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Philly fans, you are the best sports fans in the world. You're not stupid, so why should you have to hear outlandish takes that make you shake your head?
You shouldn't. That's why Unfiltered is the show for you. Each afternoon from 2 to 6, we only bring you honest opinions and analysis.
We may not agree all the time, but what you hear is what we genuinely believe. It's not some rage bait to try to spark conversation. So make the switch to Unfiltered with me, Bill Colarulo, my man Ricky Bo, and Silvana Kelleher.
Every weekday at 2 p.m. right here on 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Man, well, I wish I could say it's been a fun day. It's been fun to do the show. It has not been fun, the topics that we're discussing when it comes to the Philadelphia Phillies, because, man, a lot of people are done with this baseball team, Mike. I'm Connor Thomas, Mike Gill alongside me.
How many times throughout the course of the year do you say you're done, and then they pull you back, and then you're done, then they pull you back? That's the nature of this team.
Well, listen, I am not I'm done.
You're at
guy.
the edge?
I'm close now, and for people who have been listening to this show throughout the course of the season, or even since I've been a part of the show or the past couple of years here, I'm not an I'm done guy. I'm a believe to the end type of guy. And for me to be where I'm at today, it is a tough spot where this baseball team is.
You go for the ride. Listen, when the Phillies, like the eerie part is they went to a World Series, they lost. They lost in the division, the CS, then the DS, and this year the progression would be the wild card, right? Just like the predecessors, except that team won a World Series, then they lost in the CS, then the DS, and then the whole thing fell apart.
Yeah.
But it fell apart, and at the end, you lost to a team that had like 84 wins, that Cardinals team. I'm sure that many people there were having these discussions on 101.1 out there in St. Louis? I forget what
your guess is as good as mine, man.
But I'm saying, like, that's what sports are. And all the times, like, there's no team. Now, I don't know. Do we think the Dodgers are superior to everyone?
Yes.
Okay. See, they're an interesting one because they're playing not like they're the team. Do we fear the Brewers?
Less so, but yeah, I think that's a team that is an early exit.
I feel like no one believes they're like the Atlanta Hawks team that won 60 games when they had Al Horford. Remember that team? Were you too young?
No one ever that went to the conference championship series.
No, it was back when LeBron was in Cleveland the first time, and then Atlanta won 60 games, and everyone was like, "Yeah, okay, fine."
Yeah,
and they got beat. Nobody took them seriously, but they won 60 games during the regular season. Milwaukee feels like. Do we feel like Milwaukee feels like one of those teams that just having this, or do we feel like that team is better than you?
No, I don't think they are. I don't think the Brewers are the better baseball team. I don't. Okay. But I don't think the Mets are the better baseball team. The Phillies did not step up in a big spot against them. No, the Phillies have proven head-to-head that they're better than that Chicago Cubs team.
So right now, the same team at the beginning of the year that you thought was better than the Phillies is still the one team that you think is better than them, unless you now think the Mets are. So I was in here a couple Sundays ago.
Yeah.
The Phillies and the Mets had the same record. They were playing each other. And I asked the question, who feels better about their record? And everyone kept saying the Phillies. And I said, no. The Mets do. The Mets feel better about being tied with you because their pitching had been a disaster. Their pitching had been injured, and yet they're still there with you. Now, the Phillies have pulled away from them, but I still think the Mets feel better.
Yeah, well, it's clear from the series who has the momentum right now in this race for the NL East title, or at least the head-to-head matchup, and that's a problem because we talked about it on Monday when Andrew and John were still in about how you can't breathe life into this Mets team. It just can't happen, and that's exactly what the Phillies did. They knelt over the dummy that we used in the CPR classes back in high school, chest compressions, the breathing, everything. They gave it to the Mets. They said, hey, you guys are on life support. We got you. We got magic medicine. It's called playing us. the Philadelphia Phillies. And you're going to come out of this series feeling much better. And that's what happened. And that's an absolute mess to allow that to happen because you had them on the ropes. The Phillies are a team that feels like they're a great fighter. Let's talk a little boxing for a second. They're a great fighter in the middle of the ring. But you push them to the corner and you get them on the ropes, and they feel like they run into trouble a lot more than they should, given the quality of roster that they have.
So you're saying that they're the bully?
In some ways, yes. But I'm just saying they're great when it's comfortable. And when it gets uncomfortable for them, I see them slip.
Because it's like they get swept by the Pirates, and then they beat the Mariners.
Yeah.
They lose series to teams that you don't expect them to, and then they beat, they beat the Cubs. They beat the Pirates. The Padres. I don't know. I don't know what to make of this team other than it's stale.
Yeah.
And that, to me, is what brings out these, I don't want to say irrational. Fans have every right to feel, and react the way they want. But the staleness of this team makes you almost have PTSD to past experiences that you've had with this team, because when you've seen Nick Castellanos struggle in 2022, 2023, 2024, and now nothing's changed in 2025, I now have a big enough sample size to now say, I do not think you're getting any better. Same with many of these guys, like Bryson Stott.
Yeah.
We've been waiting and waiting and waiting, and it's not happening.
I understand where you're at, and I understand where the fan base is at today, which is why we wanted to have some fun stuff dealing with the Eagles in the show, and this is awesome. We really appreciate the time from our next guest, head coach Todd Whitten from Tarleton State, who is very familiar with one of the newest Eagles, Darius Cooper, an undrafted free agent out of Tarleton State. We wanted to have Coach on to talk a little bit about one of the newest Eagles. And, Coach, we know you're getting ready to take on Army, so we appreciate, with your busy schedule, you making time for us. How cool is it to see Darius Cooper go from your program to the opening day roster of the defending Super Bowl champions at the NFL level?
Yeah, it's one of the coolest things I've ever been a part of. So happy for Darius and Kennedy, his wife. Darius is one of those guys. He was absolutely our best player and our best student and also our best citizen. So he's a young man. He checks all the boxes. He's just a special guy.
So we've heard these stories throughout training camp, and we only get glimpses here before they actually get into the regular season, but about the quality of not just player but person that the Eagles believe they found in Darius. Can you talk a little bit about maybe a story from his time at Tarleton State or when you realized how special he was?
Well, really, he basically went unrecruited. We were his only offer, but we thought he was a good athlete. We weren't what we're going to do with him. He was a quarterback, and so it took us a little to kind of figure out that he was probably a receiver. But he was just so explosive and such a naturally strong kid, and quick and long arms, big strong hands, and so he immediately was. The first game he started, I think he had 6 or 7 catches for 160 yards against TCU. And they both had corners that went in the draft. And so really, really quickly, he played really well for us. And we not long after that, we got him involved in a small NIL package, I remember. And so I got him hooked into my financial guy in town, and he wanted to save his money. And so we gave was his first NIL check. And so I went to take him down to meet the guy to make his deposit, and there was only $9,000 left he had. And I said, "Coop, what'd you do with the other 1,000?" And he said, "I gave it to my church." So that was a first for me, for a 19-year-old kid to tithe like that. But now, Coop, if he says anything about being a man of faith, you better believe he's telling you the truth. He certainly is. And so just an outstanding person, and I really believe he's going to do great.
We're talking with head coach Todd Whitten of Tarleton State, where Darius Cooper, who just made the Eagles roster as one of the wide receivers there. And when these stories happen, Coach, sometimes it's like, that's a great story. He's an undrafted rookie free agent. But knowing the kid, the person, do you look at that kid as a guy who is going to be a productive NFL player, more so than just a great story of making the team, that when he gets an opportunity, does he have that quality that will make it in this league?
Well, I think so. I'm not overly familiar with the NFL, but I have coached a handful of guys that have made it, and Darius, I think, may be the most talented young man we've ever had, and he is. I think he's going to be outstanding. He's an explosive, a big play guy. I think he will. I know initially here he's going to be a backup and a special teams guy, but I think one day he'll work his way into the lineup and just do really well. I've never seen him fail at anything, and the thing that's unique about Darius, everybody that is involved with him just absolutely loves him, and I would expect that the Philadelphia community will figure that out as well.
Well, clearly the Eagles have already fallen in love with him. I got one more thing for you, Coach, before we let you get back to prepared for Army, and we're rooting for you in that one. Of course, now we're all like adjacent Tarleton State fans up here in Philadelphia, so we're rooting for you. But with a smaller program like Tarleton State compared to like the big boys around college football, you brought up NIL, talking about Darius. How much has that changed the game for a school like Tarleton State, either positively or negatively, in the outscape of college football right now?
Well, I think it's good for the players, and that's the main thing. That's why we have college football, and so they certainly deserve that. And you can't imagine, and I wouldn't dare talk about it, but you can't imagine the big universities that tried to dick Darius out of our program. And Coop thought about it for about a half a day, and he was like, Coach, you guys are my family. Y'all gave me a chance when nobody else would, and I'm going to stick with you guys. And so, and the fact that we were, just starting in the NIL times, we were able to raise some money and get him a nice NIL package for our level. And I think that also helped make him feel good about his decision to stay. And so, as best we could, we took care of him in that manner, and so he was very thankful for all of that, and he just had an outstanding career. Led the whole country in receiving, so for us, not much of a secret.
Yeah, absolutely not. Well, it seems like it worked out for you guys. Seems like it worked out for him, and we appreciate you taking the time. We know you're busy getting ready for everything, getting going there in the college football world, but thanks for the time. We'll be pulling for you guys and pulling for Coop, of course, this year on the Birds. Thanks, Coach.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Of course. There he is, Todd Whitten, the head coach of Tarleton State Texans.
Yep.
And, if you don't know about his resume, which I assume the average person here in Philadelphia does not, being at a school in Texas there that most of you haven't heard from, guy's got a hell of a resume.
Yeah, 15
long-time
years.
coach. Yeah, so.
They're a good basketball bet. If you like college basketball hoops, look at Tarleton numbers. Real quick. He's an interesting cat. 5'11", 210. He is not, he is a built dude.
Yeah.
So
sounds like running back size compared to wide receiver size.
Very intrigued to see, and I don't want to see anybody get hurt, obviously. But
Yeah.
I feel like this type of player, Mechie, getting those two guys in the event. The Eagles have been a disaster whenever Brown or Smith do not play. I feel that they are so much better equipped if that possibility comes up this year. That's one thing that I like about this team this year as opposed to some previous teams. When Brown and Smith went out, it was painful to watch.
Yeah, and at the very least, even outside of how he can help the Eagles, it's an awesome story for a kid who sounds like a Class A person, and just great story for that program and for Darius Cooper. So it's cool to hear from Coach Todd Whitten. Appreciate Coach's time. Hopefully the Texans take down Army. And hopefully Darius Cooper makes a good impact on the Birds this year in his role. Coming up next, we will talk a little bit about the lower players on the roster, like a Darius Cooper, some of the guys who are going to be in depth roles for the Eagles this year. When does the excitement potentially wear off? Right? How long are we excited for those players for, especially with a team like the Eagles who have these championship aspirations? Again, it's not the warm and fuzzy feeling that you might have gotten from that interview, but it's the reality of how the NFL works for the top contenders. We'll talk about that next year on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Do you feel unfulfilled? Do your
Philly fans, you are the best sports fans in the world. You're not stupid, so why should you have to hear outlandish takes that make you shake your head?
You shouldn't. That's why Unfiltered is the show for you. Each afternoon from 2 to 6, we only bring you honest opinions and analysis.
We may not agree all the time, but what you hear is what we genuinely believe. It's not some rage bait to try to spark conversation. So make the switch to Unfiltered with me, Bill Colarulo, my man Ricky Bo, and Silvana Kelleher.
Every weekday at 2 p.m. right here on 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
There coming your way next on middays. Him hosting Austin Jones on the board. We were chatting a little bit. He was up in New York at Citi Field, unfortunately, last night. So tough trip for Ray. It sucks if you go up and you watch the team lose. Like, it sucks watching it on TV, much less going through the trouble of traveling and getting tickets. And that's the tough thing. You invest time in this team, and they repay you with that in the biggest series of the year. You have every right to be livid today. You have every right to lack faith in this baseball team. Now, will that come back around? I don't know. For some people, yeah, it will. For some people in this fan base, they will be out for the rest of the year on this baseball team because of what you've just seen. And maybe those are the folks that end up being right. We've heard from a lot of them on the phone line and text line today at 610-632-0975. We're going to get back to that in a second. We did also just hear from head coach Todd Whitten of the Tarleton State men's football team. And I brought it up with Ray because they had Casey Keeler on, new head coach of Temple football.
Yeah, man.
I said we had to counter with our own morning show college football coach to make sure that we balance out the scales there. But it was fun to talk to Coach Whitten there about Darius Cooper, who is one of the great stories of Eagles camp. My question to you is this, Mike. Because we get all excited in the preseason about this player, that player. Will they make the roster? Won't they? How does the depth look? Like, we do it every year because we're obsessed with Philadelphia Eagles football. When does that shine of the 51st, 52nd, or 53rd man on the roster wear off?
You know, it is funny because, like, Darius Cooper's an unbelievable story. In fact, I don't think anybody really even started to hear about him until about 2 weeks ago when people were like, oh, this kid's going to make the team. And you're like, I didn't even know he was on the team.
Yeah.
And then he's making the team. And the unbelievable thing about this town is that you could have two guys that will debate on who the backup center should be. And then that guy will never play a snap potentially all season long. Now, I'm not suggesting that Darius Cooper is Paul Turner, but, you know, Paul Turner was a guy that in camp, people were like, how did he not make the team? And then when he got here, he just wasn't really an NFL
You saw why
player.
he didn't
make
the team.
I think this is different. Now, again, I don't want this kid to have to play. That's the sad part. It's almost like you have a diamond in the rough that you can't even use or you hope to not have to use. But the question is, do they see enough in a player like this that they're going to find a way for him?
I don't think so, and here's why. And this is why we're having this question about the lower players on the roster. If this was Cleveland or New York, either team, take your pick, Jets or Giants. If this was Carolina, then yeah, I would be interested in seeing what Darius Cooper has to play on the field for the Eagles. But when you look at those depth options, like the deep depth options on the roster, the second we hit Tuesday of next week, it's going to be Eagles-Cowboys. It'll be Saquon Barkley.
Oh, yeah.
Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Jalen Carter, Zach Bond. There is no more time for those guys. And I don't want it to be like, oh, okay, cool story. Now get out of the way for the big boys. But that's the reality of the NFL. So I just wonder, do you carry this? And I'd love to hear from people on the text line.
Let me ask you this question, all right? 1 week away from the Eagles game. Training camp, preseason, joint practices, cuts, roster, practice squad. Do you still have one biggest worry? That
Absolutely.
You're saying, after all of this, I'm still worried about this.
Absolutely. It's cornerback, too. Yeah, the second cornerback spot is the number one worry on this team. And if anyone has anything different, I'm here to tell you you're wrong. That's it. Like, you have a side of your defensive secondary that is a question mark.
Okay.
And you're going to be playing some damn good passing teams early on in this season.
Well, the schedule for everybody is a bear.
Yeah.
Washington, Dallas, they all have. The whole NFC East is playing a brutal slate of games.
They are. But at the same time, our standard should be higher than those teams.
Agree. I agree with that. Look, they're saying we have to play the Eagles, so that's not fun. But so the left corner spot is very interesting to me in this conversation. You know, they get Adoree Jackson, who's a veteran player, was a first-round pick, and has been in the NFL. He can hold his own. I don't know that he's better than Darius Slay. They went out and made this trade for Jacorian Bennett.
Yeah.
Who, my buddy covers the Raiders, and texted me right away and said, that guy will start for you immediately. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen. He's been banged up a little bit. He said that's the problem with him in Vegas has been that he's been banged up. And then, of course, the question for everybody listening is, well, why the hell did the Raiders get him? Well, he's kind of smaller. Pete Carroll likes the bigger physical guys. I'm not sure whether he answers that question or not, but I'm very intrigued. You're saying corner, and I'm not saying you're wrong. I think it's up in the air. But this Marcus Epps thing makes me wonder if they're still like, we need to make sure we have a safety net here.
Yeah, here's the thing with safety. It feels like a position that has more coverage in a way.
Oh, man, I don't know, because the year that they lost Epps, the next year was a disaster at that spot.
Right.
When they had Blankenship and Terrell Edmonds, and they had the guy from Tampa Bay. I can't remember. Then they had Byard. I mean, they had like a couple different. Justin Evans, was that his name?
Yes.
Evans?
Yes.
So they had a couple different guys. That was a rotate, and then they brought Byard in, and he was a disaster to the point that they had to go out and go get Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and then bring him back. I mean, they brought him back because it was such a mess.
Who was the defensive coordinator of that team?
That year was
Sean Desai, Matt Patricia split.
I was going to say was the Desai year. Yeah.
Feel a lot better about Vic Fangio's ability to put
true.
safeties in good spots. Corner, though, there's no help out there if you're matched up one-on-one with the number one. And Quinion hasn't traveled.
Do you yearn for an upgrade over Hunt or are you okay with Hunt being the guy?
I'm fine with that. Until proven wrong, on the biggest stage, he showed up. Same with Nolan Smith. So until proven wrong this year, I'm going to put faith in them. Corner is a much bigger question mark to me than anything else on the Eagles roster. And that's a problem because there's a reason they called it Revis Island back when Darrelle Revis was doing things. A lot of times you are on an island. So we will see how that goes for the Philadelphia Eagles. 1 week away from the matchup with the Dallas Cowboys. We'll get back to the text line coming up next. And we're also going to take a look ahead. Phillies take on the Braves tonight. No rest for the wicked. You don't get to come back here and lick your wounds. No, you get back on that field and you play some damn baseball tonight. You better win. You better win this series. Because if you don't, this turns into a much different conversation. I'll tell you why coming up next. I'm Connor Thomas along with Mike Gill. It's Kincade Salciunas. John and Andrew back on Tuesday here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
10 straight losses at Citi Field. I'm Haley Taylor-Simon with your Fanatic Sports Update, and this update is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. Looking for an exponential driving experience? Experience the power, precision, and intelligence of an iconic Mercedes-Benz SUV at your local Mercedes-Benz dealer today. The Phillies fell 6-0 to the Mets and getting swept yet again at Citi Field. This marks 10 straight losses at Citi Field. Kyle Schwarber, who went 0-11 against the Mets in the last series, spoke about how he's unfazed. Take a listen.
We got to get back. We got another important series ahead of us. So, if we go, we got to go out and take care of business, and we still have another series against these guys. But, we're not looking to that. We're looking to the series ahead.
The Phillies get ready to take on the Braves tonight at home. We're 1 week away from the Eagles season opener at home against the Cowboys. The Eagles were back at practice yesterday, and Landon Dickerson, who had surgery on his right MCL exactly 2 weeks ago, was participating. You heard from Jeff Kerr earlier. That is up on 975thefanatic.com. This update is also brought to you by Wendy's. Wendy's Breakfast 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles lets you choose the perfect duo for your fave 4, including a sausage or egg, cheese biscuit, small seasoned potatoes, or medium hot coffee at participating U.S. Wendy's. I'm Haley Taylor-Simon on your home of the best birds coverage on 97.5 The Fanatic and 975thefanatic.com.
Philly fans, you are the best sports fans in the world. You're not stupid, so why should you have to hear outlandish takes that make you shake your head?
You shouldn't. That's why Unfiltered is the show for you. Each afternoon from 2 to 6, we only bring you honest opinions and analysis.
We may not agree all the time, but what you hear is what we genuinely believe. It's not some rage bait to try to spark conversation. So make the switch to Unfiltered with me, Bill Colarulo, my man Ricky Bo, and Silvana Kelleher.
Every weekday at 2 p.m. right here on 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
All right, this show's flying by. It's crazy how quickly a radio show can go by when you're angry about pretty much everything that your baseball team has done in the last week. I'm Connor Thomas alongside Mike Gill in for John and Andrew. They'll be back on Tuesday. We're getting ready for week one. We're a week away from the Eagles season. A lot of stuff going on here. And it's just every time I sit down behind this microphone, the number one thought in my mind is how dare they? Not the Philadelphia Eagles. How dare the Philadelphia Phillies go into New York and put that type of effort out on the field? It's embarrassing. And the fan base has been ticked off today.
So what kind of they're at Citizens Bank Park tonight.
Yeah.
What kind of reaction do they get tonight? You just got swept embarrassingly by the Mets.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're coming home. Everybody is obvious. I mean, the text board and the people all day, I'm over this team. I'm done with this team. So does that reaction translate to when my man Dan Baker, he's the most underrated guy of the whole experience.
Yeah.
And he says, your Philadelphia Phillies are taking the field. I didn't do it very good justice there. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was going to try it.
I'm not a good impressions guy. John and Andrew can do it a little bit, but I'm not.
I can do
an
okay, Dan Baker. I just, for whatever reason, my brain just went normal. But when he announces that they're coming out and here's your Philadelphia Phillies, are they getting Bronx cheer? Are they getting the place is going to be energetic? They're going to be into the game.
I'll tell you exactly what's going to happen. They're going to get an ovation, but it'll be quieter than normal, right? It won't be the typical cheers for Schwarber, Harper, Turner, like the big boys or anything like that. It'll be subdued clapping. And then the second anything goes wrong, like the second somebody bobbles a ball in the field, gets thrown out on the base paths, a bat at the plate, boos are raining down tonight. This fan base is on edge. And they're not going to come out and play a perfect baseball game against the Braves tonight, but they damn well better win.
Are you a booer?
Yeah, I boo when it's needed. Yeah. Listen, I'd be booing.
Stand up and cup your hands, boo, or?
Yeah. You know what? Yeah, I've done the standing boo. I don't hold back on that. That might surprise people because I'm Connie positive when it comes to the sports teams in this town. But part of that, I think, is we're too tough on some of the teams that do have pretty darn good resumes. But this is a time where I'd be booing this team if something went wrong tonight because I'm fed up with it. Now, here's what's so important for tonight's series. Phils are facing the Braves. They will play them throughout the weekend. They will look to exercise the demons of this bad stretch, not from Citi Field because they're back at the bank, like you said, but at least can put some distance between them and the ghosts of New York. If they are to go out and struggle in this series against the Braves, what this turns into is a totally different conversation. It's no longer the Phillies can't beat that damn Mets team. There's no way they can compete with them. If they run into them in the postseason, they're dead. It turns into, oh, no. This Phillies team's just choking away their opportunity to win the division. And that is way worse. Because if they don't face the Mets in the postseason, if somehow Cincinnati catches them, or if the Mets just don't match up with the Phillies and someone else knocks them out, I don't feel bad about the Phillies matchups with any other team based on what I've seen in the regular season. They've handled the Dodgers. They've handled the Cubs. Now, we'll see what they do against the Brewers coming up next week. But if you struggle against the Braves following up that series against the Mets, it's no longer Phils can't beat the Mets. It's this team can't take advantage of the moment. And we've heard already that narrative of Phillies teams past.
Well, there's a stretch of games coming up here, Connor. This 4-game series against the Braves. This is a Braves team that's not very good, but it's 1-2 in a row. They got Chris Sale back. He's going to pitch in this series. Spencer Strider should be fun on Sunday night to see how that whole dynamic goes with him and the fans. But this is a Braves team that you need to take advantage of on your schedule because you do have the Brewers coming up. You do have the Dodgers coming up. So you have to start to get a little positive mojo going as you start to play some teams that are ahead of you in the standings because, as we just talked about, the Dodgers have now surpassed you for that number 2 seed. You're not catching the Brewers most likely. But you also have to show that you can play with them because we have questions. Are you better than the Brewers? We're all like, probably. Not if they come and beat you. The games are out in Milwaukee. Not if you go there and lose, 2 out of 3. So this is a tremendous part of the schedule right now that seemingly is make or break in terms of setting you up to make a deep run. That's what this is about. Setting you up in the best possible. You get in that wild card, you can say la vie to winning a World. You might get to a World Series. That would be improbable, but you're not winning 4 series in a row. Not doing it.
I agree
not
with
you.
you.
The inconsistencies of this team.
Now, what I will say, and it's harder in a 4-game series because you have to win 3 out of 4 to win that series, which is a tough task even against a team like the Braves who are having a rougher year than people expected. But when the Phillies were swept out of Citi Field earlier this year, yes, folks, it happened another time this season.
Well, they've lost 10 straight there.
They followed it up with 5 straight series wins, including a sweep in there. So they did bounce back before. Now, does the pressure of August into September change that this time around? We'll see. Was that an anomaly that time based on opponent? We'll see.
So here's a question regarding that. This is a veteran team. You should have experience dealing with the pressure, but as you get more experience, does the pressure get to you more because you haven't got the job done? You know what I'm saying?
The monkey on your back gets heavier the more times that you fail to get it off.
You have experience dealing with the pressure. Yet, because I have all this experience and I'm not getting the job done, do I feel that much more pressure?
Yes, I think that is how it works. And let's see what the fan base is continuing to say on our text line. Haley, what do we have on the Phillies before we look at the pitching matchups in this series with the Braves?
We have Kelly from Fishtown checking in, and she says the Phillies still have no game plan for the Mets since the last playoffs. And she is completely blown away by the fact that the Phils came up short yet again to the Mets.
Now, the game plan thing is interesting. It really doesn't feel like they do. It feels like they don't have a good approach at the plate against the Mets. It feels like they haven't learned anything about attacking this lineup. It's hard to wrap your mind around that they've been this incompetent at finding a way to neutralize this Mets team.
Jeff Kerr said something about the Phillies are still relying on the long ball. The odd part is, other than Schwarber, they really don't have anybody that is a consistent long ball threat. You think about Harper. He's not been a really, I don't even know that Harper, has he eclipsed 20 home runs yet this season? I mean.
He may have. I think he might be at like 21. Let me check for you.
All right. But other than Schwarber, who on this team scares you?
He does have 21.
All right, so he's got 21. Harper does.
And
he's been out.
Turner should as well. I mean, he doesn't scare you in the home run sense, but the guy is in contention for a National League batting title.
No, but you're at. But what Jeff Kerr said was, it feels like the Phillies are still waiting for the long ball.
Yeah.
Who on this team are you worried about hitting a long ball? You're a number 4 hole hitter. I don't know. How many home runs does Real Move to have? 12? If that?
Maybe.
I mean, seriously. Bohm, he's not hitting the ball out of the yard. Castellanos, he gets lucky every once in a while, but when's the last time Castellanos has hit a big home run? Then you got the Kepler, Marsh, Bader contingent of – these are all guys who are, low-teen home run kind of guys. If your philosophy is still waiting on home runs, it seems like you got something messed up here.
Yeah, I have something I want you to hear coming up next, because Jason Stark was live on Unfiltered yesterday, I believe it was from. And he had something really interesting to say about that idea of the Phillies' game plan against the Mets, or maybe the Mets' game plan against the Phillies. This is where we get into the murky water of what in the hell is going on at Citi Field against this Mets team. But it doesn't come from a fan. This is not a Reddit theory of some crazy people who are just like on there just like, oh, well, maybe this is happening where they don't travel well to New York. I don't know. No, this is from a legitimate Hall of Fame baseball writer with a theory that is not ghosts, not momentum, not mentality, but something that the Mets have on the Phillies. We'll play that for you from Jason Stark coming up next. We also have our Key 3. We'll get more from the text line. It is Kincade Salciunas, Connor Thomas, alongside Mike Gill, in for John and Andrew, Haley Taylor, Simon on the board. We're back after this here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Philly fans, you are the best sports fans in the world. Fans, you are the best sports fans in the world. You're not stupid, so why should you have to hear outlandish takes that make you shake your head?
You shouldn't. That's why Unfiltered is the show for you. Each afternoon from 2 to 6, we only bring you honest opinions and analysis.
We may not agree all the time, but what you hear is what we genuinely believe. It's not some rage bait to try to spark conversation. So make the switch to Unfiltered with me, Bill Colarulo, my man Ricky Bowe, and Silvana Kelleher.
Every weekday at 2 p.m. right here on 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
thefanatic.com.
Got a lot of stuff to knock out here on this segment of Kincade and Salciunas before we hand things over to Ray Dunn and Amy Fadul coming your way next. But we've got a Wendy's gift card to give away. We have our key three to get to. And we were just having a conversation. I'm Connor Thomas along with Mike Gill, filling in for John and Andrew, who will be back on Tuesday. Haley's on the board for us today. Talking about one of our texters, I believe it was Kelly in Fishtown, brought up that the Phillies just don't seem to have a good game plan against the Mets. And I'm racking my brain trying to figure out, like, how have you not figured this out? Because it's not just that the Phillies are losing to the Mets and getting embarrassed by the Mets and giving up what was a comfortable division lead in favor of a not comfortable division lead, but it's that every game for the past year and a half seems to have had the same blueprint, too. It's textbook. It's not one day the Phillies will score 10 runs and the Mets will score 11 because the Phil's bullpen imploded. And then the next day, it's a 2-1 ball game, and they play this tight, grinded-out pitcher's duel. It's always one or two innings where the starter seems okay. The Mets figure it out, and then the bullpen just can't stop the bleeding. And Jason Stark mentioned something very interesting yesterday. Before you freak out over hearing this, Phillies fans, I want you to consider the source. This is not a guy who is a Phillies fan. This is not just a random person on the internet with a theory. This is a Hall of Fame baseball writer who is one of the most connected people in Major League Baseball. So this does not come from a tinfoil hat society. No, this comes from Jason Stark about what the Mets might have on the Philadelphia Phillies.
I think the Mets have tells on every Phillies reliever and know what's coming. Bryce alluded to this against Christopher Sanchez the other night. I honestly do not think that he's just throwing stuff out there like he's guessing. I think this is a real thing.
Now, on a longer version of that clip, Jason Stark went into the numbers of Phillies relievers against the New York Mets. Guys like Jeff Hoffman, all-star last year, terrible in the postseason. Carlos Estevez, all-star last year, obviously gave up that home run to Francisco Lindor in the final game of that series. Guy like Joan Duran, who we just saw in Game 2 of that series, get hit better than anybody's hit him yet this year as a Philly, and
Four
probably
straight
as a
hits
Twin.
off him on that.
Yeah, that doesn't happen. A guy like Jose Alvarado, his ERA is higher. Matt Strahm, ERA is higher. Ryan Kirkring, ERA is higher. And the theory that the Mets have tells on the Phillies pitchers. Now, I don't truly know exactly what that means. But Jason Stark brings up that Bryce Harper has mentioned it. And if Jason Stark does not believe that a theory has legitimacy, he will not bring it up. It sounds like that's a real thing. Now, I don't know how that happens. I don't know how you fix that. But you need to figure it out. Because if they know what's coming, and it certainly seems like they know what's coming, that adjustment should have been made a long time ago. And that is not just Phillies like player failure or coaches failure. That's organizational failure. And that better not be real. But my gut feeling is like something weird is going on.
Yeah, I mean, you're right about Jason Stark bringing up something of that magnitude and actually putting some credibility behind it. This is no tinfoil cap here. This is Bryce Harper alludes to the fact that he thinks there's a tell. Yoan Duran, it's funny because one of the questions I had in my mind earlier was, have we lost a little faith in him? Do we still think this is like the new shiny toy? Are we kind of over this already? I mean, like, he blows that game here on Friday night. He gets a save on Saturday night. Then that game the other day. But has he lost a little bit of this, like, wow, we have this guy? Because he gave up 4 straight hits, bang, 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 and they were all really hard hit balls. They weren't like little bloopers falling in.
Yeah.
So that point that Stark made me kind of be like, that is one of the assistant coaches for the Mets that I read was on that Astros staff.
Yeah, like, is that possible that they've got, and I'm not saying that the Mets are cheating, and this is not sour grapes, right? Like, that's not where I'm going with this conversation, because I don't want people to hear this and say, oh, another excuse from the Phillies honk, Connor Thomas. No. What I'm saying here is it seems like the Mets have something more than just even mental dominance over the Phillies. It seems like they know something. And we've seen in the past this year, Jesus Luzardo have an issue where he felt that he was tipping his pitches and had to make adjustments. Like, it feels like the Phillies are not doing a good enough job to potentially counter other teams picking up their stuff. And that is a bigger issue that would extend this out to just the Mets. Or the Mets have some proprietary information that no other team has because they face the Phillies more than any other team besides the Braves, Marlins, and Nationals. And they just picked something, and the Phillies haven't changed it. Now, that would play to the theory that, see, if you don't match up with this Mets team, maybe you should still have faith in the Phillies. But I can't play that game because you might match up with this Mets team. So you got to fix whatever it is.
Right now you are.
Yeah.
The playoffs started today. It's Phillies Mets. Now the games are at Citizens Bank Park. Did they make you feel any different?
Not if they have something on them. Like I don't know. My brain is so many different places, and it needs to be settled down. And it's why the Phillies need to go out there and fix whatever the hell it is. If it's mentality, if it's tipping pitches, if it's just flat out gut check type stuff. Yeah. Go out there and play better baseball.
They'll come out and score 10 runs.
Yeah, of course
You'll
they
feel
will.
better in the morning.
Of course they will. I don't know that I will. I hope so, but we will find that out tomorrow morning when we react to Phillies Braves. We'll also start to dive deeper into Eagles stuff on tomorrow's show because we are a week away. We'll be under a week away when we come on these airwaves tomorrow to the opener against the Cowboys, so that'll be good to get into. We'll have our key three in just a second, but we got to give out our final Wendy's gift card. And, of course, Wendy's has a lot of great stuff, including breakfast biscuits for just $1, including the Honey Buddy, too. Get yours today and start your day off right. Got to be Wendy's. Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. Limit 5 qualifying items per transaction. Not valid in a combo while supplies last. Haley, you said you have a number.
I do, and it's 7 because we are a week away from the Eagles season opener.
Okay, so the 7th texter to our text line, 610-632-0975, who texts Baconator, will win our final Wendy's gift card. You can text that now, 610-632-0975. Our 7th texter will win that. All right. It is time now for the Kincade Salciunas Best 3, the best 3 minutes of today's show.
Now, the Kincade Salciunas Key 3, today's best.
At this point last week, wasn't everybody buzzing? Wasn't everybody saying hello at Wawa?
Yeah.
Wasn't everybody coming in saying, see the Phils last night? I mean, baseball is one of these things where one Thursday you feel great and the next Thursday you feel like...
Yeah, but every Thursday is not a major series with the Mets coming to close, with you getting swept, you giving up the season series, which is what happened last night with that final loss in that series, which means not only are the Mets only 4 games back of you as we wake up this morning, but they also hold the tiebreaker. So essentially,
you know what else?
Call it 3 games back.
You know what else? The Dodgers passed you now, too.
Yeah.
So you are now sitting in the wild card spot, and if the playoffs were to start today, which I know they don't, you'd be playing the Mets.
Something about the DNA of this team feels like it came into major question over these 3 games. Where is the fight? Where is the fire? Where is the point where you look at a team in your division that does not have as good of a record, in my opinion, not as good of a roster, and has not had as much playoff success over the past 3 years as you have? Sure, they knocked you out last year. What'd they do when they were a 100-win team? They lost in the wild card round, right? Like, they are as much, if not more, playoff quote-unquote chokers than people call the Phillies. Do you believe that the Philadelphia Phillies quit in this series against the New York Mets?
I don't think they quit. No, I think that's unfair. I don't think they quit. I do think that there is an element of, here we go again. There was a time, Romano's had an awful season, okay? And Thompson, after every game, will talk about him, he's throwing 97, 94. I mean, the stuff's there. The stuff is there, but you can see it in Romano's face. He gets up a home run. He's like, I don't understand it. I'm throwing 96 miles an hour, and I can't get anybody out. The feeling of doubt, to me, is more fair than they quit. The doubt of this ball, trickled here or did that. Why? Why does this keep happening while we're here? And I think that doubt is more fair than quit. The fact that they're playing the Cowboys in the first game of the season, or would you have rather somebody else?
No, I'd rather somebody else. I'd rather a bigger game. Now, with the Micah Parsons thing, the storylines are clearly there, and that has started to develop, but I would have rather it be the Lions. I'd rather it be, I don't know, one of the higher tier teams in the NFC that you look at and say, okay, this is going to be a potential playoff preview. Whereas the Cowboys, I don't think, are that good of a football team. I think they're a 7-8 win team, and that to me doesn't scream first game.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. Like the whole idea of, it's the Cowboys, you get to hang the banner in front of them or show the banner in front of them, great, but I'd rather see better football. Jeff Kerr of CBS Sports joins us now on the Comcast Business Hotline. Jeff?
I just didn't like the body language of this team throughout the series, from Alec Bohm with the Paramount microphone to Christopher Sanchez kicking stuff in the dugout. That's not him. To Jesus Luzardo. And again, I thought the Elms had a great game on Tuesday night, but you can't act like that when you're in the middle of a division race playing that team at Citi Field. We talk about Citizens Bank Park being the ultimate fan advantage, right? I think the Mets fans and the Mets has gotten to the Phillies head up the series, and there's just ghosts they're chasing at Citi Field right now. But the Phillies still get to play this team 4 more times at home. They still have a 4-game lead with 29 to play. It's not over by any stretch, but the Phillies still control their own destiny.
There it is, the Kincade Salciunas Key 3. Not the best 3, but it is the best 3 minutes of today's show, featuring myself and Mike Gill. We'll be back with you tomorrow in the same seats. We will have Sean Rodman on the board, I believe, will be producing.
Yeah, it's Sean tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, so we will have...
Oh, I was on, then I went off. Rodman stayed at the Brewer game when the Phillies lost that game like 18-1 or something like that.
Oh, dude.
He stayed the whole time. He won me over that day.
Yeah, well, yes and no.
It was like a Sunday or Saturday. It was a Saturday game. They lost. They got blown out.
Right.
And he stayed the whole time. I said, Robin, you're okay in my book.
Part of that, I'm like, okay, true fan. Part of that, I'm like, don't you have something better you could be doing? But, yeah, so we'll have Sean with us tomorrow. I do want to let you guys know as well about the Fanatic Deal of the Week. You can check out the Fanatic Deal of the Week. Get a $50 gift card. I'm talking about the jug. The Jug Handle Inn for just $25. Enjoy their famous wings, burgers, drink specials, live music, and more at the Jug Handle Inn. Sentiments in New Jersey, stand up. Get this exclusive offer while supplies last at 975thefanatic.com/deals. What do you think? Do we get a win tonight? Aaron Nola on the mound against Cal Quantrill. Both high ERAs. Chance for the offense to maybe get right, but everyone's worried about Nola.
Yeah, as you should. Every time Nola pitches, it's another audition. And it's weird to say audition because I have no part of me that thinks the Phillies aren't going to start him in a playoff series. How about you?
I do have part of me.
Really?
Yes.
I mean,
he's got to earn it. He's
going to put him in the bullpen?
No, but he may
off the roster.
No, he'll be on there, but he may just
sunflower seeds.
Exactly.
Wow.
Just, hey, break in case of
Taiwan
emergency.
Walker treatment. You can't do it to both of them.
Well, Taiwan can go to the bullpen. Nola cannot. So Nola's got to pitch his way into this rotation.
Pitching 3 lefties in the starting rotation?
Yeah, dude. If they're your best arms, you got to trot out the best guys. We don't have the luxury of handedness.
I see it this way. Alvarado's done.
Yeah.
Luzardo takes that spot. Nola's in the rotation with Suarez and Sanchez.
It's certainly possible. I mean,
you need a 4th guy. One time it would be Luzardo.
Yeah.
Be the guy that gets bumped up for like a championship round.
If you know what it feels like today, I'm just going to round out with this here for Phillies fans out there that have had a rough couple of days, like we all have. We're down on this team right now. I'm not trying to win you back over. Here is all that I will say. Today's show, yesterday's show, Monday's show, felt like the temperament of last year's divisional series against the Mets. And I get it. It looked like that at Citi Field this week. This was not a postseason series. They did not end their season with this. They have another month of baseball to play. And I know we're really down on this team right now, and I'm not rushing you back to believe in that. But all I am saying is maybe if you're trying to jump off the bandwagon, hang on to the outside of the door or something for me, because there's still more baseball to play. I'm not going to guarantee you anything. I'm not going to predict anything. But just, I don't know. Try not to treat this like the season is completely over, even though for a lot of people it feels like it. And I can't make that argument against it right now in this moment. All right, that's all for Kincade Salciunas. Coming up next, Ray Dunn and Amy Fadul have plenty more about the wonderful series up in New York between the Phillies and the Mets that Ray Dunn was in attendance for last night. Yeah, it's one of those days, folks. But we got more great sports content coming your way here on 97.5 The Fanatic.